for the Eagles of La Sierra against the Vikings of Campbell Hall. Ghazal Hassan back with you. I got Jeff Gorham alongside. It is a scorcher tonight, Jeffrey, and we may see some footballs fill the air. Both teams like to pass the football.
And I'll tell you what, Coach Moore over at La Sierra, he has confidence. He has numbers, and he has them playing on all cylinders. Great football so far early in this year.
Yeah, they split their first two games, lost a tough one against Rancho Alamitos last week. Campbell Hall, though, Jeff, they're no joke. They went undefeated last year in the regular season, 10-0. They're 2-0 this far on the season. Dennis Keys, their head coach, he played at UCLA for Carl Durrell, and they have a history of success there at Campbell Hall.
And I'll tell you what, you look at their size of the team, 30-plus guys, if that, but they're deep. They have 8 on both sides of the ball. They are a contagiously winning program, and they're looking to come in tonight and win on the road.
Yeah, La Sierra could make a big statement with a win tonight. You mentioned 8 players going 2 ways for the Vikings. The heat could become a factor later tonight. It's the Eagles and the Vikings coming up next. The CIF on Riverside TV.
Well, back at Zach Erb Stadium, Ghazal Hassan and Jeff Gorham with you. Our first look at Alver District Stadium this season, Jeff, for La Sierra and Campbell Hall. It's the home of the Braves and the home of the Hillcrest Trojans. But our first crack will be of La Sierra. They're going to kick the ball away. Campbell Hall won the toss. They'll receive.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing La Sierra. We haven't had an opportunity last year. We didn't get to cover them. So this year it'd be nice to see him in action.
Rene Valtier will kick it away for La Sierra. Campbell Hall in the white kits. In the blue kits. La Sierra. Rio Redwood deep to receive along with DeAndre Dukes for Campbell Hall. They come in 2-0 on the year. We mentioned they were 10-0 last year out of the Gold Coast League and ended up losing in the first round of the playoffs. But make no mistake, Coach Keys has done a great job at Campbell Hall. He's in his 9th year now, 52-22. And they have a very interesting situation in terms of the CIF playoffs. We'll get into that as we get deeper into the game, but we'll see the offense for Campbell Hall come out first. Rene Valtier has it teed up, and back deep, as we mentioned, Rio Redwood along with DeAndre Dukes. Valtier. This is Dukes from the 17. Up through the middle. Near midfield. He's got some space. Shifty move. And a nice tackle to bring him down. Making the tackle for La Sierra. Matthew Cardenas pulls him down from behind. But a pretty good return out to the 28-yard line of La Sierra. So a 55-yard return by Dukes to start it off.
Yeah, what a great run. He ran right behind his lead blocks and did exactly what he was supposed to. Had a little bit of breakaway speed there, but great tackle by the young man from La Sierra.
Cardenas with the tackle. And let's see, they're having an issue with the sticks, where to put the sticks. I think they're spotting the ball. Looks like the 29. It'll be a 1st and 10. Mingus Allen, the sophomore quarterback for Campbell Hall. Kamar Matuti will be the main tailback for the Vikings. So Redwood to the bottom of your screen. Split out to the top of your screen is Ethan Prager. Winding up, throwing the ball. And now he's in trouble. Retreating and dumping it off incomplete. 2nd down coming up. Good pressure up the middle by La Sierra, Jeffrey.
I like what La Sierra did is they funneled him in, kept him running, zigzagging in that pocket, not able to get a good read on those receivers. Great defensive stop here from La Sierra.
Mingus Allen, just a sophomore, stepping in for Isaiah Sipan, who was the starting quarterback last year for Campbell Hall. He transferred to Westlake. 2nd and 10 coming up. 4 receivers in the formation. Here's Matuti up the middle. Runs right to the oncoming hands of the young sophomore. Andrew Riles was the first man there for La Sierra. 3rd down coming up.
Well, I like what La Sierra's doing so far here. You watch the secondary. They're talking. You can definitely tell they're pointing fingers. They are focused. And I'm sure they've done some film studies, some chalk talk. Coach Moore probably has them ready to go tonight.
3rd and 10 coming up from the 29. Across the front for La Sierra, Jonathan Watson, Alexis Ruelas, Paolo Sanchez, and Devin Budna. Sean Moore really likes that unit. They're the ones that get it going on the defensive side. Trips to the near side. That's Redwood in the middle. Mingus has time. Down the right side, wide open and complete to Mathuti for the first down. Dances out of bounds just outside the 10-yard line. 16-yard completion, 1st and 10.
Yeah, Mathuti lost his defender there. He was kind of in no man's land defensively, and a good catch there. Didn't know where he was in the field. If he would just turned reversed, he would have been in for an easy score. Turned the wrong way on that reception.
So I thought he stepped out before the 10. He did not. He got to the 10. They're going to drop the sticks. 1st and goal just inside the 10 for Campbell Hall. A 55-yard return set up this play and a big 3rd down conversion for the Vikings. Mathuti puts his foot in the ground, tries to stutter step, but down he goes. Watson was there for La Sierra, but cleaning it up on the bottom for La Sierra. Ashton Ayala also in on the hit.
La Sierra having no problem with the run here. It's just a couple of...
Well, couldn't get off the field on 3rd down. That was the big thing, is that Mingus converts that 3rd down. Mathuti gets in front of his receiver, and now you get a fresh set. 2nd and goal from the 9. Mathuti off to the right. 3 receivers to the near side. Split out to the bottom of your screen is Marmerstein. The give to Mathuti. Watson comes in over the top, but finally needs help. He slowed the motion as much as it needed to be. And then cleaning it up, it's Tales of Brave Ulysses Mendez. So 3rd down upcoming. So here we go. This is what happened. Campbell Hall with a big 3rd down conversion earlier in this drive. Let's see if they can do it again.
And it's man coverage. If you notice from La Sierra, they're going man-on-man versus receivers here.
New defensive coordinator for the Eagles, Dennis Radgowski. Coach Sean Moore told me about Coach. He said, he's been a mentor of mine for many, many years. I've known him for a long time. He's one of those guys you want in the phone booth with you in a tight situation. 3rd down coming up. Mingus, the out pattern. Touchdown, Campbell Hall. Hauling it in, Lucas Salenza.
So that is where they're going to get their pay dirt, and that is going to be thrown over the top. It's going to be up to La Sierra secondary to see if they can make some stops. If it's any indication of this first set here.
What you can tell on that first drive, Jeff, is this team, they've had success. So they're unflappable. 3rd and 10, 3rd and 9. They don't panic. They don't worry. They're a disciplined team. They kind of stay within themselves. And they converted 2 big 3rd downs there, and the touchdown set up by the 55-yard return by DeAndre Dukes. They'll go for 2. So Mathuti is in the backfield with Allen. They'll toss to Redwood coming across. Redwood with a nice cut inside, and he gets in for the 2-point conversion. Rio Redwood.
He looked like he was trying to get outside of that to get to the pylon, but the La Sierra defense jumped the lane, and he was able to cut inside.
Yeah,
Very
it's a
good
nice
move.
cut because it wasn't just any guy. Jonathan Watson had a beat on him, but a nice cut by Redwood. He had a good angle because he was running kind of that end around from the wide receiver position. And the 2-point conversion is good. It's 8-0 Campbell Hall.
But you got to like what you see defensively from La Sierra as those defensive ends are really, really jumping out, forcing everything inside. They've stopped the running game. Let's just see if they can make adjustments here and stop that passing game.
I mean, to be fair, they played the short field, and really it was Allen made 2 plays. The quarterback for Campbell Hall made 2 plays, the completion of Mathuti and the touchdown pass to Salenza in the right corner of the end zone. Fielding it is Reyes for La Sierra. TJ Reyes bringing the ball up the field. He's close to midfield, and finally he'll get skidded out. I believe that was Redwood pushing him out of bounds.
There is a flag here.
Yeah, we'll sort the flag out. Starting lineup on the offensive side, we'll see Ty Owens at quarterback. TJ Avelina, very interested. TJ Reyes, the returning player. Get a look at Sammy Beltran as well. That offensive line is going to be big for La Sierra. Can they get a push up front? Can they protect their quarterback? And can they generate a running game? That will be key. So the return out to the 48 and then the flag on the play. So I guess they waved it off. And it'll be 1st and 10 from the 48. So split out to the top of your screen is TJ Reyes, who made the return. Ty Owens at the controls for Sean Moore. And now Reyes comes back this way. Valtierra to the top of your screen, near slot Beltran. Reyes coming off the field, split out to the bottom of your screen is Nick Soto for the Eagles of La Sierra. And that's Jason Fisher running onto the field, a young freshman. One of the few freshmen playing on this team. So let's see what Owens can do. The junior QB, first time playing varsity, gives to Avelena, finds the middle of the field, and is finally thrown down. Mathuti made the hit, but the first man in defensively was Peter Barrio.
And talk about Ty Owens. I was sitting a little bit watching some film earlier this week with Ken Batdorf, the coach here at Norte Vista High School. Said, hey, he passes the eyeball test. He's got a strong arm. Didn't get to see much of him mobilely, but he can throw the football.
Thrown to the outside, it is complete. And Mathuti all over the field. Welcome to the CIF, Jason Fisher with the reception up into Campbell Hall territory at about the 46-yard line. 3rd and manageable coming up.
You have to like what you see from Owens. Just, he looks like he's poised in the pocket. He's not running everywhere, and his head's not on a swivel. He is looking at all of his routes.
Valtierra to the top of your screen. Trip stack to the bottom of the screen. 3rd down coming up. Owens looking for Valtierra over the middle, and it's complete. Redwood on the hit to the 39-yard line. 8-yard pickup, and you'll move the sticks. One thing, and we hear this from a lot of coaches, with a young quarterback, what you want is you want them to get the ball out of their hands, and that's something that Owens is doing. He's not sitting around waiting to get hit. He sees a guy open, he's delivering the football.
And you have to like that. If you don't have it, throw it out of bounds. But you gotta see the early poise here from Owens.
4 receivers, a fresh set of downs. Avelena right up the middle, and runs right into the oncoming hands of Kamar Mathuti. Also in there to help out Hudson Barber for Campbell Hall. Maybe a yard on the play.
What a shot defensively, though.
So we thought maybe it would be a long game because of all the throwing, but both teams trying to run the football and establish that run. Soto to the bottom of your screen. Beltran in the near slot for La Sierra. 8-0 Campbell Hall. Owens loads it up. Now he's in trouble. Owens looking for his outlet, and it's complete to Avelena. Avelena to about the 33-yard line, a modest 5-yard pickup that keeps the clock moving. 3rd and 4 coming up.
Well, I think if you're Coach Moore, you still don't know your team yet. So, I wouldn't say you're going to go out and throw every single time. You look at Campbell Hall. Coach knows his team. He's been there a while. He knows his guys. So Coach Moore is going to have to learn on the fly, and we're going to see that young man evolve, that quarterback, throughout the season. He's going to find out if he's got running backs. We know he has a quarterback and got a couple little receivers here.
Laundry on the field. The penalty takes it back to midfield for La Sierra. I'll share with you our officiating crew tonight. Jeff O'Connell is our referee. Quentin Huff, the umpire. Roz Duval, the headlines person. Phil Scott, the line judge. Chris Warren, the back judge. That's our officiating crew. So Reyes split out to the top of your screen. In the far slot is Valtierra for La Sierra. A redo here on 2nd down. Owens dancing to the 45-yard line, and down he goes. Down below making the hit for Campbell Hall was Anthony Tarabian. Up top was Kamar Mathuti. Surprise, surprise.
And that's the question that everybody kind of had. They know he can throw the football, but he's able to get a little mobility, get out there. But you got to slide, young fella. You got to get down.
The first drive for Campbell Hall, Jeffrey, changed on a big 3rd down conversion. Well, here's Tyone's opportunity. 3rd and 13, line to get, needs to get inside the 30 to the 29. Here comes pressure. Trying to get rid of it. He barely gets rid of it. Bearing down was Peter Barrio. Barrio, the senior, already with 11 tackles on the year, had 11 and a half sacks last year, so you know La Sierra is aware of him. Another look there.
You look at the left side of that line.
Yeah.
Campbell Hall is just going at him.
Straight bull rush. The two seniors matched up against each other. Jonathan Watson and Peter Barrio, and Barrio won that battle. So punt team on for La Sierra. They trail 8-0 halfway through the first quarter here at Oliver District Stadium. I'm Ghazal. He's Jeff. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for hanging out again, guys. Friday night. Hopefully you're doing something nice. You got a nice beverage. You got a nice plate of food in front of you watching.
There's nothing quite like a lovely beverage, especially after today and this past week. Do you think it's hotter here or on the sun?
So Duke's back to receive. Remember, he had that big return on the kickoff. There he comes up, and he's going to let it go. Gio Garcia there to down it inside at the 18-yard line. So a 26-yard kick, no return. And inside the 20 is where Campbell Hall will start it off. You had a chance to talk to Sean Moore on Monday on the coach's perspective. An Inland Empire guy, played for Dick Bruick
plays
at
for
Kaiser, and then coached at A.B. Miller, coached at Excelsior. What'd you get out of him for those who haven't seen the interview? And if you didn't, shame on you. You should watch Jeff every Monday.
I just think the confidence and the excitement, that's something you don't really associate with La Sierra just because their success hasn't been great the last few years, but he was contagious. I mean, if you're a player and you gotta realize, hey, these guys, they want to win.
Change of pace, rumbling up to the 30-yard line for Campbell Hall. That's Jack Getz. Getz, the 5'7" senior, had 38 yards on 7 carries last week against Arleta. Moves it up to the 29, and the sticks move up. 10-yard gain, little bowling ball of a running back.
Yeah, I would just say he just seemed like he was excited to be there, and that's contagious, especially when you have a number of players. I think he said he had 60 guys in his program, which is, that's double what they had last year.
I think all three levels they're close to 100, Jeff. Actually,
that's an incredible feat in itself, just getting guys out.
First down from the 29. Allen gives to Getz, and Getz goes down. First man there, again, Jonathan Watson, loss of about 5.
Well, what a great defense here from the run standpoint. The Eagles have really shored up that line.
New defensive coordinator again, Dennis Ragowski. He worked with the D lineman, and really his philosophy is we got to be physical on defense. That's the Dick Bruick philosophy coming in. Is, on offense we can be a little finesse. On defense we got to pound you around a little bit. Second down and 15. Allen to throw over the middle, just short. Redwood, the intended receiver, of Valtierra on the coverage for La Sierra, and third down.
And La Sierra still playing that man coverage. They are zoning a bit in the middle with the linebacker there.
So the incomplete pass stops the clock. 4:20 to play here on the first quarter. 8-0. Campbell Hall made the drive down from the San Fernando Valley. I think they're officially in Valley Village.
Is that out there by you where you live?
I live in the good side of town. That's way north. I'm kidding. Yeah, it's. I'm on the west side, but yeah, they're in the valley. It's adjacent. Ethan Prager to the top of the screen for Campbell Hall. Closest to you on the bottom of the screen, Nick Marmerstein. Here's the toss. And this is Dukes. And Dukes having a good afternoon. He gets knocked down when he gets over the 40 to about the 43-yard line. He'll get a first down, and the sticks will move up. Matthew Cardenas there for La Sierra. And a good change of pace. We saw Mathudi in the first drive, but remember, he's playing defense as well. So Coach Dennis Keys lining up a couple of extra players. He had Getz earlier on the drive, and then all the way to the 45-yard line is DeAndre Dukes. Dukes a youngster for Campbell Hall, just a sophomore. He had 23 yards on 6 carries against Arleta last Friday. Clock moving, under 4 minutes to play first quarter. Campbell Hall 8, La Sierra nothing. Mathuti right up the middle. He's got some space. Nice little stiff arm there. Finally wrapped up and brought down inside the 35-yard line, about the 33-yard line. Ricardo Reyes looks like he made the tackle for La Sierra, but another nice run for Campbell Hall. They'll move down. 24-yard run, flag on the play. Let's see what Jeff O'Connell has to say. Not to be confused with Jerry O'Connell, who played Vern in Stand By Me.
I think it was against, let's see if the call was.
Well, it's going to be against the Eagles.
Yeah, I think it was something to do on the sideline maybe.
So they're going to tack on 5 more yards so it moves down to the 29-yard line. So call it a 21-yard run and they add the 5-yard penalty. Nice job by Mathuti. So they have 3 different backs in this sequence. You had Getz, then you had Dukes, and now Mathuti moving the ball down the field, as Hank Stram would say, matriculating the ball down the field for Campbell Hall.
Sounds like a law firm.
Allen gets rid of it, in and out of the hands of the intended receiver, incomplete. Nicholas Marmerstein can't hold on to it. 2nd down and 10 coming up. Second and 10 coming up from the 30-yard line. Substitution coming in. You know, we talked about with Ty Owens getting rid of the football quickly. Mingus Allen's done the same thing for Campbell Hall. He's not holding the ball too long. He's getting rid of it. Redwood in motion for the Vikings. Whistles and flags, Allen to the outside. And when we have a moment, we'll throw it down to the field to the intrepid Nicholas Rice. Nick, what you got?
Well, La Sierra head coach Sean Moore has a fascinating pregame ritual, and it began about 2 hours before kickoff tonight, where all of his players took place at the back line of the end zone, not just walking the field, but absorbing the entire atmosphere before their weight room, and then finally their trip to pregame warm-ups. It is an interesting deal. It's something that he didn't develop during his playing days, briefly in the NFL and for a couple years in college. This was something he thought of once he became a coach at A.B. Miller and now at La Sierra. Interesting pregame ritual. We'll see if it pays off for him later in this game. Guys, back to you.
5-yard penalty on the Vikings. So from the 34, make it 2nd and 15. Redwood in motion. High snap, give to Mathuti, trying to squeeze through the side, breaks one tackle, but then a bunch of friends show up and knock him down. The initial contact on the play for La Sierra was made by Matthew Reyes, and then a whole bunch of Eagles showed up to clean it up, maybe a yard on the play, back to the line of scrimmage.
It was a flock. An
Eagles.
entire flock of eagles.
Is it a murder of eagles? Well, that's
Murder.
crows. That's crows,
are murder,
right?
yeah. It's. I guess it would be a flock. Like a flock of seagulls. Great band.
I ran so far away.
Did you? I used to have great hair like those guys.
You did. I remember. I've seen pictures of you with hair.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Hey, you and I are going to have a slumber party tonight, Gazal.
Don't tell everybody.
Oh, Gazal, you don't know what you're in for. The Gorham boys are going to take care of you tonight. They're going to beat you up when you're sleeping.
3rd and 15. Allen to throw. Unleashes it down the field. Incomplete. 4th down coming up.
And that's going to be a PI, I believe, against La Sierra. And that was really just a messed up play. You can watch it here. I think number 4, Salenza, didn't know his route, and that's going to tack on.
So flag on the play. It's a defensive hold. So it'll still be 3rd down, just 5 yards. So they'll move the ball. Well, now I'm confused because they're back to the 20.
Yeah, I'm not too sure here.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, they're going to move the ball to the 25. That's a 10-yard mark-off. So it'll still be 3rd down. Big break for the Vikings. Let's see if they can capitalize. They were pretty good down just outside the red zone the first drive through. Remember, they converted a big 3rd down.
Yeah.
Actually converted 2 big 3rd downs. The second one, though, was a touchdown. 3rd and 5. Flags and whistles again. And wow, how about that? The mistake by La Sierra gives Campbell Hall a first down. This is something that Coach Sean Moore was talking about. He said, we were right there with Rancho Alamitos. We were slugging for 15 rounds with them. We needed to clean up mistakes. We lost that game because we made mistakes. He's going to talk about that on the film. He's like, hey, first of all, we had a team 3rd and 15. Bad enough to give them 10 yards on the first penalty. Now the second penalty gives them a first down, and it's in the red zone.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, that's just, and it, like I said, you've got a lot of new guys in your program. It's going to take a little while, but you can't make mental mistakes. That's the one thing, Coach, what I got from him is you can't make these mental mistakes that will cost you every single time.
Here's Salenza lined up with Redwood on the bottom of your screen and Kai Scott. And a timeout taken by Dennis Keys, the head coach of Campbell Hall. Coach Keys, in his 9th year, played at UCLA, was a safety, 3-year starter, was on the field on December 2nd, 2006.
That's my birthday.
On your birthday in 2006?
Yes, thank you.
On your 21st birthday, UCLA had a huge upset over number 2 USC at the Rose Bowl, 13-9. Dennis Keys was at the game.
He was at the game?
He played in it.
Oh, I was going to say he was at the game.
I was at the game. I didn't play.
There. I was eating cake.
The loudest I've ever heard the Rose Bowl was that day, yeah. I've never been to an actual Rose Bowl game.
You hadn't?
But for a USC – well, no, I've been to a bunch of UCLA games. The actual Rose Bowl I've never been to.
Oh.
But that was a regular season game. Regular season game at the Rose Bowl. But getting back to La Sierra, a young team, only 7 seniors on the roster. So they're going to go through some growing pains. Show me that smile again. But you would hope from week to week, right, they would be able to pick up. And again, early, it was a hot week. They practice at 6 a.m. this week, Jeff.
You got to say that's pretty sweet. Getting up at 6 o'clock, going to practice before you go to your class, go to school all sweaty.
Did you ever do morning practices when you were coaching?
Yeah, all the time. Because I had a wife that said, you got to get home after school. We got little kids over there. No, I like getting it out of the way early in the morning. That's the Mike Bartee way.
And John Chaney was a big morning guy. Yeah. Former, the late John Chaney, Hall of Fame coach at Temple. 1st and 10 from the 19. Here's the give to Mathuti, sweeping left. Ducking inside, lowers the shoulder, gets all the way down to the 5-yard line. 14-yard pickup, Cardenas in on the hit. Whenever I see him run, I think of another famous number 32, whose name I can't say.
No, not allowed to anymore.
Yeah. So.
Hey, it's a great drink, though. Everybody could use some good orange juice right now.
So they drop the sticks. It's 1st and goal from the 5, and we talked about it last week with Martin Luther King. Looks like Campbell Hall, the Campbell Hall offensive battle station, Jeffrey, fully operational.
It is.
And the interesting thing is, I don't think the La Sierra defense has been bad. I just think the level of execution has been pretty impressive for the Vikings. Allen, off his timing, just grounds it. He had some pressure. I think he knew who he wanted to throw through, and the receiver wasn't ready. Israel Placa Morales bringing the pressure on Mingus Allen. We talked about how he gets rid of the football. Here comes the pressure, and he's just going to ground it. Why risk it?
That's a smart move. I mean, why not? You're first down. First down and 5.
Well, maybe it wasn't so smart because I think they're gonna flag him here for intentional grounding.
They did flag him for grounding, but I don't think it's that bad of a move. I mean, you were first down on the 5-yard line. Now you're second on the 10.
Well, you don't want to lose the 10 yards though.
No,
that's the issue.
That's the tough thing. But oh yeah, they did.
Yeah. And I actually don't think that's a. I mean, I hate to disagree with Jeff O'Connell. We just met him. I mean, there were some white shirts in the vicinity. Yeah, he was getting rid of the ball to burn the down.
Yes.
If he floats it high, they don't call it.
No.
They called it because he threw it into the ground. 2nd and 18 coming up. Allen to Mathuti. Lowers the shoulder again. And finally goes down at the 10-yard line. So they'll get 8 of those penalty yards back.
I like what they did here. They took their tight end, their other receiver, and brought him to the left across the field, leaving the running back one-on-one, basically. You're going to get those yards.
Cardenas in there. There was Gio Garcia, had his nose around the football. So we're going to tick down to the end of the first quarter with Campbell Hall leading at 8-0. Ghazal Hassan, Jeff Gorham with you. Riverside TV. We're back again, and we're back again tomorrow. You can't get rid of us.
Yeah, we were supposed to play. The game was supposed to be at noon tomorrow, but they said, I don't think we can play. I think the college players said, nope. So we're going to go at 6 p.m. tomorrow.
Allen, last play of the first quarter, into the end zone. Touchdown! Campbell Hall with their second touchdown at the end of the first quarter. And again, it's Luca Silenza. Does he live on the second floor, though, is the question. 4 seconds to play, and they'll go for 2 yet again. This will be untimed, so there will be one more play here in the first quarter. And you got to be impressed with the way Campbell Hall is moving the ball down the field, Jeff.
Well, they are. You know, they at first, La Sierra was stopping that run. They spread that defense out a little bit. They were able to, throw the ball over the top versus that one-on-one coverage. But what that does is it opens up that line, and you're going to be able to punch holes in that defense, and that's going to cause some problems for the Eagles here.
It's been 2, distinctly different drives. Here's Redwood running that same play they ran the first time. Did he get in? He did not. So it'll be 14-0. The first drive they scored, Jeff, they made the short field, and they made a couple plays. Allen made a couple plays. That's why they scored. This was way more sustained. The drive started back in Campbell Hall territory. They had 3 runs, moved the ball down the field. Some penalties from La Sierra helped. But in the end, it's been the execution of Campbell Hall.
Yeah, and look, they ran off so much time on that clock. That is something. Even if you're La Sierra, you want to keep it close because, the pundits say, hey, Campbell Hall should beat you by a ton. But I'll tell you what, La Sierra is doing the right thing defensively, and just by them scoring, I know it didn't look good, but they held them with the clock for a good 5 minutes here.
Talking to Dennis Keys before the game, get a look at the drive here as we get ready for the kickoff. Kicking it off for Campbell Hall will be Antonio Scorpo. There's Redwood. And we're back to live action. Reyes on the return, bumps into his own man at about the 30, and he'll go down at about the 35-yard line. So 33, call it. Getz combining on the tackle with Arnold Kim, and that's the end of the first quarter. And I know we got to pay some bills, Jeffrey.
Yes, we do. Hey, don't doubt the drought. Extreme drought conditions persist throughout the state of California, so saving water now is now more important than ever to protect water supplies into our future. Step up your water-saving game by irrigating between the hours of 6 p.m. and 10 a.m. to avoid losses to evaporation. Visit riversidepublicutilities.com/drought for more water-saving tips, tricks, and rebates.
I love water. I drank so much of it yesterday, Jeffrey. Nice aerial shot there from our drone.
Wait, I missed it. I missed the aerial
Let's
drone.
see it again.
Oh.
Second quarter about to get underway. So here we talked about a unique situation with Campbell Hall. So they're in the Gold Coast League now, as we get a look at the aerial shot again, which is a 4-team league. So they're going to get 2 playoff berths, automatic qualifier playoff berths out of that 4-team league. For those who don't know, the CIF, if it's a 6 to 8 team league, you get 3. If it's 4 to 5, you get 2. If it's less than 4, you get 1. And if it's more than 9, you get 4, right?
Wow.
But last year, the Gold Coast was a 6-team league with Paraclete and Sierra Canyon. So in 2018, the teams, they didn't want to play those 2 big, powerful schools, so they decided we're going to give them the automatic bids, and we'll just play for 1 bid. So the question I asked for you, Jeff, being the math guy, is it better to be playing for 2 bids against 4 teams or to be playing against 1 bid against 3 teams? What do you think?
1 bid versus 3 teams if the other 2 teams are dominant.
Owens on first down. Down he goes. Tackle on the play made by Levi Simpson.
Now, who's in? Now, is Sierra Canyon in their league?
Now, that's a very good question, Jeff.
There you go. That was
Sierra Canyon has been moved to the Mission League. And what happened is Cathedral left the Mission and moved to the Angelus along with Paraclete. It's like, what was it, Notorious Housewives? What was that show, Terry Hatcher?
Oh,
the Housewives show?
Desperate Housewives.
They kept changing partners.
Yes.
That's what happened in the Valley with these football teams. And Terrell Owens drops his towel. 2nd and 13. Reyes in motion. Owens looking for some help. Gets a block up over the 30, and then down he goes. He runs into the waiting hands of Kai Scott, and a flag comes in late.
Oh, yeah, he tackled him about 4 yards out of bounds.
For some reason, I was thinking about Terry Hatcher this week. I don't know why.
You know what? I often think of Terry Hatcher.
No, but there was like a reason. Not that way. No, there was something that put up that she'd been in that it was surprised. I think maybe like she was in a Law and Order or something. They were saying.
Oh, Terry Hatcher. She was, her best role though was in Tango and Cash.
Oh, I did not know that. I don't remember her from Tango and Cash.
She was Sylvester Stallone's sister.
Oh, okay. Sly.
Yeah.
Oh.
And got mad because old Kurt Russell.
That's right.
Yeah, had the hots for his sister.
So tack on 15 to that. So a mistake by Campbell Hall moves the ball near midfield for La Sierra. Ty Owens looking down the field. He's going to be in trouble, and we gave him all that praise for getting rid of the ball right there. I think he held the ball a little bit too long, and here comes another flag. So we'll get another look at it. Fading. Here comes Barrio, and then Owens sees him, and he just tries to sidle it away. And the foul will be on Ty Owens. So we have intentional grounding both ways.
Now, does that they don't get to see what's his name? Little Lebroni? They don't get to see him play this year in their league for basketball.
I don't know. I'm not sure about basketball. I was looking strictly at football.
Does little Bronny play football?
I don't think so.
Remember, didn't LeBron, was he a wide receiver?
I don't know if he ever really played because he was so big so early. I think by the time he was 16, he was a national guy. And a football coach would have wanted him to play.
I want him to play.
So the ball at the 37, first down to the 41 on the Campbell Hall side of the field, over the middle, through the hands of Soto, incomplete. Third down coming up. So the penalty really kind of takes this drive off the mat, so to speak. Now, Owens, what time he got rid of the ball quickly, just he couldn't get it to his receiver, Soto. So third down upcoming. Line is the 37. So 3rd and 22, they got to get to the 41 of Campbell Hall. 14-0 Vikings playing here in the second quarter. Valtierra shifts up. Reyes split out to the near side. And now they switch positions. Big third down. And flags and whistles. Let's see what Jeff O'Connell has to say.
It's going to move back another 5 yards.
So those mistakes coming back to bite the Eagles a little bit. We saw a couple of penalties aided that that last touchdown. And now a couple of mistakes, the intentional grounding, and now the false start here make it 3rd and very long. When I was in high school, our PA guy was our history teacher, Mr. Ponchak. And he never gave the exact, if it was something like this, he would say, just 3rd and very long. He didn't want to bother with the math. He was a history teacher. Good man, though. Played basketball at Muhlenberg College.
Not Muhlenberg.
Yeah. He used to make this joke, the Big 11, the Big 10 plus Muhlenberg. I wonder what he'd think now. There are going to be 16 teams in the Big 10.
Is Muhlenberg still, or is
It's in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Division III, powerhouse. Soto to the top of your screen, Valtierra to the bottom of the screen. Near slot is Reyes. Here comes the pressure, and again he gets rid of it. Another flag. Barrio had him in the grasp. Just rule him down, Jeff. He's going to call. That's a 3rd intentional grounding he's called already. We're not even at halftime.
We only saw. I don't even know if we saw an intentional grounding last year. We've seen 3 so far.
We'll have to check the lines. Call your buddy. Joking, folks. Kidding. There is no betting line on how many intentional groundings are called.
No.
So 4th down coming up, and then we'll get an update from Nick Rice. There are 2 Nick Rices on the production.
There's an angry Nick Rice and a.
Well, we had them both here last week. We don't only have one of them here today.
Angry Nick Rice is tough, mean, and tall. Happy, fun.
I don't think he's angry. I think he's just eccentric. Most geniuses are, Jeff.
That Nick Rice is definitely a genius.
So DeAndre Dukes waiting at the 46-yard line. Rene Valtierra from the 4 will kick it away. Another flag.
Hey, they're going to run out of real estate. They're going to be playing on.
They'll be playing it. They'll be playing it
Avenue.
Ramona. They'll be playing it Ramona tomorrow. When we have the RCC game. So move it back to the 10. Line of scrimmage is the 10.
Give me the
Dukes
yardage.
moves up from the 30 to the 37-yard line.
Look at that. Look at how cracked our staff is right there.
Yeah, that's about right.
4th and 45, and
it's going to be a short kick off to the right side. Dukes catches it at the 29-yard line, makes a nice play on it down the sideline, and finally out of bounds inside the 5-yard line. Making the hit for La Sierra, Emmanuel Quintero saves the touchdown.
Emmanuel Quintero, hello.
The sophomore, he's a thumper according to his coach. His nickname on the Eagles is He-Man. Great job there by Dukes. And there's the hit, pushing him out of bounds at the 5. Nick Rice, what do you have for us? It better be good.
Well, I certainly hope it's good. So, La Sierra over the last quarter has been dealing with some troubles in protection that may have to do with Anthony Turabian. He had injured his shoulder in the first quarter. His arm is in a cast, and his likelihood to return is very, very minimal. He's walking around right now pretty disappointed, and I'd be too. Back to you guys.
Anthony Turabian, he actually plays for Campbell Hall. What a great kid. Sad to see that. Now, remember, Campbell Hall, when they got off the bus, Jeff, and a penalty on Campbell Hall looks like will take the ball back to the 45-yard line. I think, what did Coach Keys tell us? He suited 37 kids today,
yes.
3 of whom were freshmen. He said maybe 29 will play. Well, they're down one player with Turabian with the injury. From the 45, 1st and 10, another whistle, surprise, surprise. This is getting ridiculous. I just Al Michaels that, didn't I? What was the game where there were all these penalties and Al Michaels got all frustrated? I want to say it was a Raider game. Now the last 2 penalties have gone against Campbell Hall, so at least they're evening out the scales of justice, Jeff.
Yeah, I think we did a game at North a couple years ago, and it was penalty after penalty after penalty after penalty and penalties.
Well, Anthony Turabian, the two-way starter, plays linebacker and offensive line. That's a huge loss for Campbell Hall. Okay, that was a mistake, so I'll have to correct that. Down the field, Redwood nearly goes up and gets it. Valtierra on the coverage. No flag on that play. So what Nick meant was Jonathan Watson. So he said La Sierra. Yeah, that's Jonathan Watson who was the injury. And, yeah, he was making a big impact as Redwood goes up for it because Turabian's still in the game for Campbell Hall. So, Mr. Turabian and your family, I didn't mean to alarm you. I apologize.
He's fine.
Notes of your demise were greatly exaggerated. But flipping it over, we hope that Jonathan Watson is okay. That's not got to be fun. It can't be fun for him to be in a cast.
Jonathan Watson, one of those big boys, the big fellas.
Yeah. The essence of football. There he is. I see him on the sideline now. The training staff working. 2nd and 15 coming up for Campbell Hall. They lead this one 14-0 now that we're all sorted. Mathudi up the middle. Down he goes. Ruelas in on the tackle for La Sierra along with Luis Aguilar. You say the name Luis Aguilar to me, and I mean no disrespect, I'm thinking Bad News Bears. I don't know about you. Luis and Miguel. He once said of Kelly Leak, played by the great Jack Earl Haley, es un bandido.
The great Kelly Leak. I'm more of a Ogilvie guy.
You're an Ogilvie guy? I'm a huge Tanner Boyle guy.
Tanner Boyle, yeah. But see, I love Tanner Boyle, but you can't repeat anything Tanner Boyle ever said.
Fair. That's fair.
He was my favorite, but, if I repeated anything, I think Tanner Boyle might be canceled in today's society.
Marmerstein split out to the top of the screen for Campbell Hall. Allen flinging it. Incomplete. In and out of the hands of Redwood on the coverage for La Sierra was Matthew Cardenas.
So a good stop here, putting Campbell Hall in 4th and long.
After that punt return by Dukes, looked like Campbell Hall knocking on the door, but now instead the punt team will come out. And the big fella punting, Peter Barrio. Remember, what was it last year? Who were the 2 teams a couple years ago that had the big punters?
Oh, we had a guy. It was like 350
It was
pounds.
290 and 300. I remember
Yeah,
people were telling you that theirs isn't the largest
We
punter.
had coaches that were calling the same. I mean, literally, were saying, "I have a bigger punter." Remember that? People were punting, bringing on the biggest guy on the field just to say he was a punter.
Reyes at the 11. The punt skips down. He's going to let it go. It'll roll dead at about the 14-yard line, where it's down by Rio Redwood. He's all over the field. And with 9:26 to play in the second quarter, that's where La Sierra will tee it up. And look at the punt. Barrio, not bad form. How about that?
Not bad. Yeah, I remember when that was going on, and then Ken Batdorf put one of his offensive line guys.
Was it Adon Rodriguez or something? Yeah.
And he put him out there and said, "Okay, my punter's bigger than all of them."
From the 13-yard line, that's where they'll tee it up. And they need a score here. 14-0. Campbell Hall has been pretty efficient. Your defense finally gets them off the field. Now you need to do something here. You need a sustained drive. From the 13, it's 1st and 10. Ty Owens, the junior QB, throwing the ball over the middle. It's tipped and it's intercepted. Redwood with the pick. So Redwood picks it off and returns it back to the 10-yard line, looking for flags. Don't see any. And in the red zone are the Vikings.
Yeah, just a big tip there right off of number 30.
So Marmor's 9 split out to the top of the screen. Redwood in the far slot. Bottom of your screen is Ethan Prager for Campbell Hall. They already lead at 14-0. Here's the give to Mathudi. Spins through the first tackle, loses his helmet, and he's down inside the 10-yard line. Flag came in on the play. Let's see what the flag is going to be.
They call a face mask. Obviously, you lose your helmet.
Now, Mathudi last year as a sophomore played on that 10-0 Campbell Hall team, and he already got a couple of offers. Now, his offers are all as a linebacker. He got them at the U of Redlands camp. So he went to that U of Redlands camp on June 3rd. June 14th, Washington, Fresno State, and Colorado State all offered him. He has some interest also from the Pac-12, Utah, Arizona, UCLA, Hawaii, and San Jose State.
A lot of schools. That Redlands.
He's just a junior. It's a great camp. So
Oh.
how many kids have gotten opportunities out of that camp?
A ton.
So the face mask will make it 1st and goal now from the 5-yard line for Campbell Hall. The Vikings have been pretty good in the first half, pretty efficient on the offense. They lead at 14-0. Looking to go 3-0 on the year. Allen, Dukes with a nice skip into the end zone. Can he pull it in? Touchdown. Broke the plane. Touchdown, DeAndre Dukes. Catch and run for Dukes. We've already seen him electrify a couple of times on the kick return, on the punt return, and there he gets into the end zone, finds pay dirt.
There's some jaw in there. You're talking about that Redlands camp. I think a week after Chip Kelly got the job, Chip Kelly showed up at the Redlands camp, and he wasn't doing interviews yet. Got an interview with him because my brother,
New Hampshire
connection. So Chip Kelly invited me to hang out with him the entire camp. I was able to walk around, and one of the nicer human beings. I had heard he was kind of a tough guy. Couldn't have been nicer, and gave me some great interview for the Inland Sports Show.
2-point conversion attempt coming up.
That was when he was trying to get Jaden Daniels. And he kept asking me, "Do you know Jaden?" I do.
It's Dukes and it's Getz. Flag comes in. They'll back it off 5 yards. I always joke that I say things on here that would get me in trouble if I wasn't sitting next to you.
Yes.
But when I saw, and I'm not Jack Getz, right? The name, growing up in the East Coast, you think about Bernie Getz.
Yeah.
So if he gets into the end zone, can we call him the end zone vigilante? Or people get upset.
No, I don't think they will.
Hopefully nobody remembers.
Yeah,
but
we're left coast.
I'm sure he's a really good kid, but it's a football nickname.
Yeah.
Darn it.
That's a good one.
And then, of course, Derek Dukes, the Dukes of touchdown, right? Them
Yes.
Dukes, them Dukes.
Now, I think you're okay.
2-point conversion over the middle, and another flag comes in incomplete. I'm not even trying to be controversial, Jeff, but you slip up and say the wrong thing. Bad things happen. How embarrassing would it be? I mean, forget, to be canceled from Riverside TV.
Oh, that'd be bad. Yeah, unless I think you're okay.
Conversion, no good. It falls incomplete. The flag was on the Vikings. Well, I'll tell you what. What have we watched so far, Jeff? 16 minutes of this ball game. How impressed are you with Mingus Allen, the young sophomore?
He's a tough player, man. He's fun to watch. And I'll tell you what, bright future. Only a sophomore. Holy smokes.
He got he played in 9 games last year. Played as a freshman up in the varsity. Wasn't the starter, obviously. You mentioned that their starting quarterback, meaning Campbell Hall starting quarterback from last year, transferred to Westlake. Their top receiver transferred to Notre Dame, Sherman Oaks.
I would like to see him throw over the top like we saw in those first couple passes in the first quarter. I thought that's where he was really strong. He's got a great receiver on the right side. Go one-on-one coverage, throw over the top.
So 20-0. It turned the turnover, converted into a touchdown, and that really hurts La Sierra. It's imperative they score on this drive, get some points on the board, and that's not a good start. Gio trying to turn the corner, and he will not. Running him down is Mathuti. Man, he's everywhere. Plays on offense, plays on defense, plays on special teams, and somebody's slow to get up. How about Gio Garcia? Looks like he's struggling to get to his feet, and he looks to be okay. It'll be first down inside the 20-yard line for La Sierra. Speaking of Mathuti, now, showing my age a little bit here, the greatest defensive player I ever saw was Lawrence Taylor of the New York Giants.
Yes.
And so obviously dominating linebacker, changed the game. When he started, most teams were playing the 43, and then they all moved to the 3-4. Although I guess they're shifting back to the 43 now. But what was most impressive was, guy played special teams. He was the protector on the punt team. He played on the field goal team, and he played on both coverage teams. And the other player I love is Ed Reed. Played for Miami, played for the Raiders.
Yes.
So I had a chance to talk to the Inland Empire guy who played in the NFL, and he was kind of a marginal guy, played 6 or 7 years, never a star. And he said, hey, when Ed Reed was on the field, you were scared. I said, scared? He's like, yeah, because he played special teams. So if you screwed up and he made a play, you're getting cut. So he said, I never wanted to see Ed Reed on special teams because you knew your job hung in the balance as they'll move it back on the flag, back to the 11-yard line. 1st and 10 coming up. 8:33 to play here in the second quarter. Ghazal Hassan, Jeff Gorham with you. Campbell Hall, the Vikings, made the trip down from the Valley, and it's looking to be a pretty fruitful trip. They lead this one by a score of 20-0. They've looked pretty good here in the first quarter. Now, to be fair, La Sierra has made some mistakes that have cost them, but the Vikings have made the plays when they needed to make them, Jeff. There's just no two ways about it. You got to be fair. Owens to the outside, in and out of the hands of Reyes, incomplete. Getz closing in on the coverage. 2nd and 10. What do you got, Nick? Nick Rice on the sideline. What do we have?
So Jonathan Watson, as you corrected, he has a rotator cuff injury, not a shoulder injury. Just got confirmed with that. And also for La Sierra, just on the most recent return, Giovanni Garcia is dealing with an ankle problem that's been reoccurring, but it appears that he'll be okay for the next series. Guys, back to you.
Thanks for the updates, Nick Rice. Doing your due diligence. 2nd and 10 from the 11 for La Sierra. Really need to get it going. Owens throwing. It's complete. Good catch by Soto. He's down for the first down at about the 28-yard line. 17-yard connection to Nick Soto. Interesting story about Soto. Kind of still learning the game, but Coach Moore likes the confidence. Great touch on that pass to Soto. In coverage for Campbell Hall was Anthony Tarabian. He said, Soto had a job during off-season, so he kept having to leave to go to his job, and he and Coach Moore had a talk about his commitment to football, and he's bought in. He wants to play. He's getting going. Coach Moore couldn't say more nice things about him. Owens stepping up against the pressure, and down he goes at the 34-yard line. He'll get a couple of yards on the play. Nice tackle on the play by Nico Joel. Stepping up and dragging him down from behind is Simpson. So Levi Simpson there with the hit. Give up the middle, Avellino. Pushes up, surges to about the 37-yard line. Will be close to a first down. I was wondering about that, why they went away from the run game. Now, Avellino, a young guy, still learning the offense, but Coach Moore likes him because he said, he gives another dimension. Kind of that Matt Logan model where you have that runner, maybe a little bit undersized, but you're not expecting it out of an offense. And, Coach Moore, among the people we talked to him about, played for Dick Bruick, but lists both Matt Logan and Jeff Steinberg, two guys we know as coaches that have really helped him.
Offensive power, juggernaut guys.
Yeah. First and 10, 39-yard line. Owens throws, complete to Reyes, and down he goes immediately. Redwood was first there. Turabian comes to help clean up, and coming in over the top as well is Kai Scott. So ball about a 4-yard pickup, 5-yard pickup on the play. Oh, check that. They marked it up. I was 5 yards off. They marked it up to the 48, so very close to a first down. Second and about 2. Owens needs to tuck it under and run. Gets the first down, gets past Getz, and he'll go out of bounds inside the 40-yard line, about the 36. So a nice little scamper for about 15 yards, Jeff.
Yeah, great straightforward runner. I mean, you got to like the speed there. So he got rid of it, made the smart move, ran to the sideline like he's supposed to.
The thing Coach Moore said about Ty Owens, he said, hey, the game's slowing down for him. So call it 15 yards. He gets to the 37-yard line. He's felt the game has slowed down each of the first 2 weeks, and this probably their stiffest challenge, Jeff, in terms of the opposition, Campbell Hall. D6 playoff team last year. Right up the middle, Avellino runs right into Mathuti. 3-yard pickup.
Yeah, I like when La Sierra runs the football. I mean, they've been successful. I'll tell you what, it will open up things for that Owens to hit those receivers. Keep them honest on the line there.
2-yard pickup, so call it 2nd and 8. Avellino again adjusts the left side. Mathuti brings him down from behind. Couple of more yards on that play. 3rd down coming up.
Now, if La Sierra can score here, going into half, that would be great.
Third down, Owens trying to launch it, but now he's got to step up. And it's taken away. Wow, that's just theft right there. Peter Barrio is going to go all the way for a Campbell Hall touchdown. What do they call it in basketball? Leather larceny.
Wow.
How about a pigskin pilfering there?
He just grabbed it. Grabbed it like it was a big cheeseburger and said, I'm taking it.
65 yards. I imagine that's what you did on the playground at Ramona High School many, many years ago.
Yes, I did. I took everybody's burgers.
Jeff Gorham.
I didn't play any defense. What are you talking about?
Proud bully. Oh, no, I literally meant on the playground, not in basketball.
No.
You saw a sandwich, you grabbed it, and you liked it. Let's take a look at the play again.
Here it is. Watch. It's just, he gets turned, he gets grabbed first, and then the second guy comes around and just kicks it.
He didn't go down. Go for the football.
Smart move.
Barrio playing on offensive line, playing on defense. Wow, he's had himself a game today.
Barrio just might turn into a running back. Look pretty smooth there. Move like Petros Papadakis.
That's the name out of nowhere. It's funny. I was listening on the way in. I had them on for a second. They were talking high school football. They were talking Centennial Modern Day.
They had Matt Logan on today.
Oh, they did? Okay, there you go. That makes sense then. So the fumble recovery return, not really a fumble. It was a theft.
Yeah, it was just grand larceny.
Broad daylight. Allen lofts to the corner. 2-point conversion gathered in by Rio Redwood. 28-0 in favor of Campbell Hall. And the mighty Vikings rolling through like it's Beowulf.
Wow.
Talking about Vikings, you were going to take the boys to see Thor tomorrow.
We were, and I can't. Now the mother-in-law has to take my spot.
You like your mother-in-law, though.
No, I don't.
Oh, yeah, this is public. Your wife's going to watch this.
No, she won't watch. My mother-in-law definitely won't watch.
Okay.
Does anyone like their mother-in-law?
That's true, huh? It was funny. I had dinner. Well, 'cause I don't have a mother-in-law, but I had dinner a couple of weeks ago with some college friends, and they all, to a person, except for me, have an incredible distaste for their brother-in-laws. My brother-in-law is actually pretty cool. He's a surgeon for Ohio State.
I like my brother-in-law
Yeah.
too. He's a great guy.
Yeah. But they were all like, nah, they're horrible. I'm like, I just kept quiet. I didn't say anything. I just ordered another Arnold Palmer.
Oh, no.
Arnold Palmer over here.
Oh, yeah, my mother-in-law, yeah, she's a peach.
28-0. That's probably how La Sierra feels right now, trailing here with 4:29 to play in the second quarter. And again, points, you need points on the board. They had a pretty good output in the first game, as here's Gio Garcia. Good to see him back after a little ankle tweak up to the 30-yard line and wrestled down just over the 30-yard line, brought down by Luke Fogel. Fogel making the tackle for Campbell Hall.
We haven't talked about Campbell Hall, the school itself.
A great school. Now, it's an Episcopal private school from kindergarten to the 12th grade in Valley Village, Studio City, someplace like that, in just north of Los Angeles. And they've had some very famous alums. Not in sports, though.
No?
They're more entertainment-type folks.
Actors and beautiful actresses?
Well, here's the thing is, it's almost like you have to go in groups, right? Because, they do have some athletes. The Hamilton brothers, basketball, right?
Okay.
And so they got 3 of them, right?
Yes.
Because one played at UCLA, I remember.
Yes.
A couple of them played at UCLA. And a couple of them are in the NBA now. 1st and 10 from the 32.
I saw one playing in the Big Three.
It's become pretty big. In and out of the hands of Reyes. Kim on the coverage for Campbell Hall.
I just want to know, give me some actors and actresses.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's groups, right? So it's the Holiday brothers. So the Holiday brothers.
The J. Rue.
Yeah, Drew Holiday. And then the Olsen sisters.
Whoa! Wait,
Mary-Kate, Ashley.
The billionaires?
Yeah, and they have another sister that's
she's a
was
Avenger.
Was on that show, but
She's
she was also
Scarlet
on
Witch.
that HBO show. And then the Fanning sisters.
Dakota and
Elle.
Elle.
All also went to Campbell Hall. Owens over the middle, nearly picked off again, in and out of the hands of Luca Salenza. He's already got 2 touchdowns today.
Oh yeah, that Olsen sister, the one that was Scarlet Witch.
Yes,
She's number 1 on my list. If my wife ever perishes,
and then
I'm going to marry her.
Oh, don't say that kind of stuff.
Yeah, if she perishes, I mean, at least I'm going to marry an Avenger. She's a witch. She's a bad guy, but she is incredibly cute.
She was in the Doctor Strange movie. I remember
Yes.
seeing her there too. And then if you have 3 names, you go to Campbell Hall, right?
Okay, give me
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Oh, director.
Yeah. And then John David Washington, Denzel's son, who's a pretty darn good actor himself.
Oh yeah, he was in that latest.
The Chris Nolan movie, right?
Yeah, Chris Nolan.
But I remember him from the one.
He was a college football player, though,
I
wasn't
think he did. But small college. I don't think he played at a big school. So a timeout taken here with.
You know what his time is? You know what it's time for?
I was going to say Campbell Hall leading 28-0. Go ahead, Jeff.
There we go. Behind on your utility bill or unable to pay your bill in full? Riverside Public Utilities has assistance programs to help relieve some financial stress. Visit riversidepublicutilities.com /assistance or contact our customer service team at 951-782-0330 to learn more. We are here to help you, my friends, here in the city of Riverside.
So line is the 32. It's 2nd and 10. Owens to throw. Nice catch over the middle, complete, sliding down at about the 47-yard line. With the reception is Soto for La Sierra. So that another 12 yards on the play. Clock keeps moving.
Now, we're in this heat wave. I'm looking down, and I see the Eagle wearing a costume.
Shout out to the mascots in this kind of weather, man. So Owens makes a play. In trouble, and he'll run. And he'll get bent back, get back maybe to the 47, the original line of scrimmage. Is Mathuti there for the hit, along with Tarabian for Campbell Hall. 2nd down coming up. We've talked about it with both quarterbacks. Owens, much better when he gets rid of the ball. Sometimes when he has to make a decision, holds the ball a little bit too long. But that's the growing process, right? You can't replicate live action, and he's got to learn that. Soto to the top of your screen, Reyes to the bottom of your screen for La Sierra. They trail 28-0. 2nd down play. Over the middle, nearly picked off by Dukes, incomplete. 3rd down.
Yeah, Duke's not happy with that. It was right in his hands. Gets right out of there.
Yeah, he sailed that a little bit. Looked like Soto was the intended receiver right in front of Dukes. And that sailed a little bit on the quarterback, Ty Owens. Got to meet his brother before the game. Very enterprising young man.
Yes. Football player himself. Played at, where did he say, Idaho?
Idaho State,
yeah.
But he played at Corona for Ron Gehringer, we're talking. Owens complete to Reyes. Reyes with the 1st down. Nice little swim move. Gets up to the 40-yard line on the Campbell Hall side of the field. So a 13-yard pickup moves the sticks as we're under 3 minutes to play in the 2nd quarter. Perfect in-rhythm throw. Receiver was open, made the catch, made the toe tap, and the sticks move on up.
I will say this. We've seen La Sierra in the past. This is a much improved La Sierra team. A lot of buy-in. You can see it on the sidelines.
1st and 10 from the 40. Owens loses the football. Ball loose on the turf, and looks like Campbell Hall is going to recover it. Dukes got there along with Tarabian and Mathuti. They were all around the football. 3rd turnover for the Eagles, and it's Vikings football. And that's one of the plays where, and I'm sure, listen, coach is going to go over it with him. That was kind of a freak play, so you don't want to blame anybody on that. Sometimes the play is over. You kind of need to live to play another play. And a Campbell Hall player still down on the turf. Never like to see that. 28-0 Vikings. Thanks for joining us on Riverside TV. Ghazal Hassan with you, along with Jeff Gorham. Hopefully the injury isn't too serious.
Maybe he's just hot.
We talked about that. 8 guys on the Vikings go offense and defense, and the weather could become a factor. Although it's not as, I don't know, it didn't seem like it's as hot as it was maybe an hour ago, but still, it's a cumulative effect.
I'm being attacked by, there's our guy. He was,
Tarabian.
We were talking about him being hurt earlier, and it wasn't
No,
him.
no, I wasn't.
Yeah,
Nick Rice was
Nick
talking
Rice,
about
yeah.
him. I knew it when I saw him snap the ball. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, he obviously can't be hurt.
I hope he's okay.
And his own player kind of rode off top. He's walking off under his own power.
Good.
But it's interesting. We're talking about meeting Ty Owens' older brother, who's a college football player, who's also a photographer. So he's got that business that he's running, entrepreneurial. And I was thinking you and I need to come up with a side hustle as well, aside from broadcasting. You teach, but that's kind of your calling more than any kind of hustle.
I don't want to do anything. I want to
I have the perfect thing for you. We should set up a venue where people can throw their quinceañeras.
Oh, that'd be great.
Big demand for it, yeah.
In fact, it's Rashad Owens. We are being bombarded by bugs up here in the booth. Bombarded. It's like I feel like I'm in Kentucky or somewhere in the deep south.
From the 45-yard line, 55 yards to pay dirt, Allen slings it, complete to midfield. Lunging into La Sierra territory is Ethan Prager, his first catch of the evening.
Allen got rid of that quickly.
He's been always getting rid of it. He doesn't
Yeah,
really hold the ball.
No, he doesn't want to mess around at all. Look at that. Look at that eagle sitting on a nest, standing on a nest. He has got to be hot, he or she.
2nd and 4 coming up. Allen again, launching it. The ball, somebody tipped the ball, but it's still caught. Down the field, Kai Scott makes the reception. He's inside the 35 to the 33-yard line. So about a 19-yard pickup on the play.
He hit his hand. Yeah, it bounced
Oh,
off
it's
a helmet.
after. He hit it after he released it. Yeah, I saw the vibration late.
Yeah. It looked like he hurt his hand a little bit. It looked like he might have hit a helmet after he threw it.
Ricardo Reyes along with Gio Garcia on the tackle from the 33-yard line now of La Sierra. And tell you what, this Campbell Hall team, no joke. They're trying to get back and put the ball back into the end zone. First down from the 33. The give to Dukes in the backfield and nothing doing there. First man in for La Sierra, Israel Morales. Got a little help afterwards, but he was the one, number 44, who stood it up.
That's going to be a personal foul against the offense there. You see at the end of the play here, he gives a shove to the face mask.
Well, we have an opportunity. I want to thank both Brittany Ward and Shauna Johnson. They're on the staff at Campbell Hall. They deal with sports information, so they're able to get us a bunch of info on the players, a roster, and all the correct numbers and things. Because obviously some of the public rosters for both teams really incredibly inaccurate, Jeff.
If you go to Max Prep, sometimes you can see that I'm still on somebody's roster as a player.
Well, that's when you roll through and you're like, oh, this guy graduated 3 years ago. You know you're in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
And I think that's a technical glitch. I think the coaches put the right things in, but sometimes the program doesn't cooperate. Under 2 minutes to play, Allen flings it, and the tip, it's intercepted. Did it hit the ground? Yes, it is.
They're going to say it hit the ground.
They're going to say it hit the ground.
Yeah.
Maybe he caught. I thought he caught it. Maybe he caught the short hop. I was going to look at it here. Allen throws, tipped. Oh yeah, hit the ground. No doubt, hit the ground there. Watching it a second time. Penalty moves it back though. So 3rd down coming up. Line to get is the 38 of La Sierra. They're at the 45. So about
32. Is that right?
No, 33. So 17 plus. So 22. Yeah, you're right. 22. 3rd and 22. Allen launching one down the field. Man had a step, but incomplete. Marmarstein was locked up on the outside with Ricardo Reyes. 4th down coming up.
And another personal foul on Campbell Hall. They're going to say offsetting penalties, though.
So offsetting personal fouls in a 4th down with 1:30 to play here on the second quarter. Oh, no, look, so yeah, offsetting. So there's going to be no movement of the football and a punt coming up. So Barrio, who already had that long run when he stripped the ball from Owens, and a timeout La Sierra here with 90 seconds to play.
Well, to get the latest news, including events, programs, and citywide information, connect with the City of Riverside on social media and sign up to receive emails straight to your inbox. For a full listing of social media accounts and to sign up for the citywide newsletter, visit riversideca.gov/connect. It's always great to connect with the City of Riverside. Hashtag I love Riverside. You guys get on Twitter or whatever you guys get on these days, you youngsters, give us a shout out here on the city of Riverside.
You know, we need to connect with the city of Riverside, Jeffrey.
What do we need to connect?
We need to connect a person. Jeffrey Rush. Remember Jeffrey Rush?
I do remember Jeffrey
He was in that
Rush.
movie Shine.
Yes.
And then he played Javert in the one version of Les Miserables. Not the Russell Crowe version, but the other one.
Les Miserables.
With Liam Neeson, I believe, and Uma Thurman.
It was.
Yeah.
And Uma. What did Oprah used to say, or David Letterman used to say something about
Oprah, Oprah.
Oprah.
And he was going to do Sigourney Macaulay.
That's right.
I did that once. Remember when Mamadou Kaba played for CSUN?
Yes.
And Cuba played for Cuba Nijo played for Cal Poly. They bumped into each other. I said Kaba, Cuba, Kaba. All right, back to football. Fourth down. Here comes the punt from Barrio. Right foot into it. High kick. Bounces at the 30-yard line. Garcia will let it go. Bounces out at about the 22. So 33-yard kick, no return. And that's where La Sierra will start it up.
Nick Rice went and got that football. That was Nick Rice.
I mean, we're paying him. He should do something.
Look at that. He's dancing on the sidelines.
Yep. Act like you've been there before, Nicholas. Act like you've been there before. That's not how we conduct business here. I'm teasing. Well, that's what Sean Moore was talking about. We were talking, I was talking to Coach Moore on Wednesday. They just had a 6 a.m. practice, and he'd been around. And it's interesting. So I don't know if you know this. Did he mention it on the show on Monday that he had applied for the job once before at La Sierra? Okay. So when Gary Hedlund left, he applied for the job, and I guess it was kind of because it was a timing thing. They didn't hire him. So this is the second time he applied for the job, and he got it. Obviously, the second time it was such a rush. Another timing thing. First down from the 25, they're going to say. The give to Avellano. He'll angle to the side, and Dukes will bring him down as he crosses over to the 32. So about a 6-yard pickup there. I found that interesting.
That is.
When a coach applies for a job and doesn't get it, to come back and apply for it again. And that just showed that he really wanted to be here. And that's a big deal, Jeff, in the way high school athletics is now with all the constant changing. When a coach wants to be there sometimes, the players can read that a little bit.
Of course they can.
Under a minute to play, clock moving, and I think that La Sierra will be content to go in down 28-0. They'll get the ball to start the second half. But that showed me a lot about, Coach Moore. It shouldn't surprise you. I mean, he played for Dick Bruick, so he understands that whole idea of the neighborhood school.
Now, I don't know if you know this yet, Gazal, but we're doing something next week. We'll talk here after the play.
Avellano sweeps around the left side, turns the corner, bumped out of bounds after about a 7-yard pickup.
Well, we are going to have an extra game, a flex game.
Flex, okay.
During the week, we're going to add a game to the Riverside TV schedule, and you, the viewer, or you, the listener, will be able to vote on those games. The game will be, fans can vote on Norta Vista, Linfield Christian, or King versus Marietta Valley, and that will be for the game of the week for the 16th. So voting will start on Monday. We'll talk about that during the coach's perspective, and it will be on the social media platforms.
Owens looking to throw the ball. Did he hold it? That was Beltran with the completion. Indeed, he did hold it up to the 41-yard line. Clock will continue to run.
So fans are going to be able to vote. They're going to have to get on, and we'll see where we will be for that extra game. It will be also into the addition of the granddaddy of them all, the Poly Ramona game. That's the true rivalry in the city of Riverside.
The two oldest high schools in the city, correct?
Yeah, darn right. And one of them is the best, and it's not Poly.
Is Yancey Dotson back?
Yancey Dotson is retired again.
Oh, my Lord.
He's Billy Martin. He's been at Poly for 3 different occasions.
Yeah, but is he going to be on the chain gang?
Oh, he might be on the chain gang.
Okay, that's all I'm concerned with.
That's all I care, yes.
Whether he coached another game, I couldn't care. I mean, I could care. Actually, he's a good guy.
I don't want him to coach.
But as far as it affects us, I'd like him on the chain gang.
And I can wear my Hawaiian shirt that day.
In his honor.
Yes.
Timeout called by La Sierra here. 2nd and 8 coming up. They trail 28-0. Been pretty impressive in the first half. 3 touchdown passes from Mingus Allen. We haven't talked nearly enough about him. This kid is just a sophomore, Jeff.
That's
he looks
unbelievable.
unflappable behind center. That just shows you when you instill what a program instills. 28-0. There's Owens. Steps up against pressure, puts it up, and it's incomplete. He had Reyes down the sideline. There was a safety over top helping out for Campbell Hall, and third down coming up. So Nick will have one of the coaches at the half, 28-0. It's interesting, last year, one of the big assets, one of the big pluses for Campbell Hall, they were very good against the run. Now, they allowed over 300 yards against Santa Barbara in that playoff game, which they ended up losing. But for the regular season, 10 games, they allowed under 80 yards rushing per game.
That's an incredible
to
stat.
To go 10-0. Yeah.
That's like a stat of the day right there, stat of the night.
Third down. Owens looking downfield. Into triple coverage, intended receiver Valtierra, incomplete. 8 seconds left, one play to go for La Sierra. Sean Moore will join Nick Rice in the halftime interview. Hopefully Nick can keep it positive with Coach. But you even said you liked his energy with regard to how he's here. You haven't seen that at La Sierra in a while.
I haven't, and just to see the sheer numbers, and La Sierra hasn't been able to field a freshman or a JV team for a few years now, and just to be able to do that is a feat in itself, and that shows that that's important. You wanted the student body to be involved, and he's doing exactly that, getting those kids involved.
Fourth down, complete to Reyes, and that'll be it. The clock will wind, and that'll be the end of the first half. 28-0 in favor of the Vikings, and it really came down to a couple things, Jeff, I thought. Mistakes for La Sierra, and then a couple of times when the Vikings needed to make plays, they made the plays. That's why they have the lead right now.
Hey, the third and long a couple times in that first quarter really showed the arm strength of Allen. But I'll tell you what, like you said, the mistakes have cost La Sierra, and it was during opportune times where they gave up first down in the red zone and so forth.
All right, Nick Rice has Sean Moore. We go down to the field.
All right, Coach, first half, what were your thoughts of your team played so far?
We didn't execute. Our O-line is beat up, and we got to get on the ball. We got to figure out why we're hurting so much in the O-line, not getting time, and then we got to execute. We got to make sure that we've got 47 guys that are 25, and we got to execute.
You brought it up just a moment ago, some of the injuries. It looks like the heat is getting to both teams, cramping and different things like that. How do you keep your team healthy in the second half?
Biggest thing is that, we're going to go down here. We'll rest up a little bit, get some water and things of that nature, stretch a little bit. But at the end of the day, we got to go to the drawing board and figure out what we're going to do for the second half. It's 28-0. It's not a game over yet, so we got to get back and get doing what we got to do.
Coach, best of luck in the second half. The other interesting notable I grabbed late in the first half and talking to the Campbell Hall coaching staff was that they felt in the first quarter their team was a little flat. This was a bus ride of over an hour. The players came in just in time. This was a fascinating game for them to come out after that slow start and play the way they did. Guys, back to you.
And again, I agree with what the coaches said, and I agree with what they told Nick. But what changed it is they made a couple plays. They were flat, but they needed to make two plays. They made them both. They got a touchdown, and the second time they got help with a couple of penalties from La Sierra.
Yeah, and that gains momentum. You make big plays. I don't care how flat you are. You make some plays, that's going to get you going, and the right guys got going at the right time.
Here's some highlights from the first half, and I've been impressed all first half by Mingus Allen. There's the touchdown that made it 7-0 to Salenza, and he also had a big third down hookup with Methudi, and then here's the play to Rio Redwood to get into the end zone for the 2-point conversion to make it 8-0. Interesting, and I don't know if it'll play in as we get another look at Mingus Allen slinging it down the field. Salenza again for a touchdown. He had 2 in that first quarter. The other way, here's the tip and the interception by Redwood again. Methudi with the tip and Redwood with the interception. And the defense has been very good for Campbell Hall. We've been talking a lot about their quarterback as here's Dukes getting into the end zone for the touchdown. I've been impressed with DeAndre Dukes as well. Ty Owens trying to figure it out, and there was the play by Barrio, just taking it away. The big bully snatches away the loaf of bread and takes it all the way into the end zone. Final play here. 28-0 at the half. Campbell Hall with the lead, nearly a pickoff by TJ Reyes. It was not to be. That's our score at the half. We'll step out momentarily and come back with more action for you. I'm Ghazal. He's Jeff. Nick's down on the field. This is Riverside TV, the CIF Game of the Week.
I'm Cheech Marin, and we're inviting you to reserve your spot for the inaugural showing of Cheech Collects. So get your tickets today. We're looking for you.
Live local. Help support your favorite businesses with the Shop Riverside Community Card. With over 200 Riverside businesses giving exclusive discounts and offers to community cardholders, there's something for everyone. Participating organizations sell these cards for only $15 each, with $10 going straight back to the organization itself, making the Shop Riverside Community Card a fantastic way to support your favorite local group. For more information about the Shop Riverside Community Card and to find participating businesses, please visit shopriversidenow.com. And don't forget to live local. Shop Riverside.
High school sports are one of the things that make living in California so great.
But sometimes the behavior in the stands can overshadow our achievements on the field.
I love it when my parents show up for me.
But being booed for missing a play could be crushing.
And remember that refs are people too.
They're trying their best to call a fair and correct game.
Hey, and enough with all the swearing.
No one should feel insulted or ashamed
because of their race, ethnicity, or gender.
We should be able to hold our heads high after the match, win or lose.
Well, it all started basically with my son, Joshua Unger. He's severely autistic. He was aging out of the school district, and this was about when he was around 18, but the school district keeps you till you're 22. We're sitting at home one day and we're talking about, well, what are we going to do once he actually is out of the school district? And we thought about it really hard, and at that time we were doing some backyard gardening. And my son was very responsive to it. He enjoyed going out and planting the seeds and being in the soil and, harvesting the lettuce and going and, getting the carrots and the onions, and, he likes to cook too. And we thought, well, hey, what if we actually had some property to where we could have like a small farm that sells vegetables, and we can make a program where we can bring in others, a work program for people with these different disabilities. Ultimately, what we decided to do was just start looking in the Inland Empire area for a piece of property that would work for that. And, we found the Greenbelt. We try to implement as much organic material in the soil as possible. We're not using any pesticides or herbicides. We, have barn owl boxes. We have little birds' nests that we're planting so that they'll eat some of the bugs. And we also encourage predator bugs, like ladybugs. Our operation is at that point where we're turning a corner. With the high tunnels going up, we're going to be planting tomatoes in there. There's a lot of little things to maintain with tomatoes. We're kind of transitioning from a point where we were just focused on this small little corner of the property, kind of educating me. And then now that we have some systems in place that I feel are successful, we're going to expand that across the center part of the farm here, and we're going to be putting in a little farm stand that we can sell some of these vegetables with, and that will provide additional tasks for the workers with disabilities to fulfill. One of the ways that we reach out to people is on Facebook, and it's Gable Farms. Gable Farms, and you can search it in Riverside. And that's an easy way to find us.
My daughter had an issue at school where another student on her campus, specifically in her class, said some derogatory things about people of color, specifically black people. Although Riverside is a great place to live, it has shadows and it has corners where hate lives. As a result of that, my daughter was hurt that day, and we needed to put a voice to it. A friend of mine, she reached out to me and she said, Rochelle, I can't sit by and know that this happened to Edison and not do something.
We had a conversation about the racism that her daughter Edison had experienced at her school and how that felt to her. We felt like we needed to do something and to say something. And so we talked about the representation of black figures in Riverside and how there was a lack of representation. We talked about inclusion and respect and what that looked like. And we talked about creating an art piece.
It was after the murals that we had up on the Fox Performing Arts Center, as well as the John Lewis mural at the Civil Rights Institute. And so when this concept came to us at the City of Riverside, it felt a way that we could support our artist community, because we are the City of Arts and Innovation, but it was also in an easy, beautiful way, a statement that we promote, we respect, and we want diversity, equity, and inclusion in all things we do.
I myself am a mosaic artist, and so I talked to Rochelle about the possibility of us creating an art piece, and she loved that idea. And soon Shay Tracy, who is also an educator, so we are three teachers. We started out on this endeavor to create this piece together and enlisted 14 artists to create the piece that you see here today.
As at that time, there was so much happening in the culture, in the world, surrounding Black Lives Matter, and some of the protests in terms of the police brutality that was happening, that I just felt I needed to do something as a model to boys. Each individual person, they worked on their own sketch of the artist, and they put the tiles together at their own home studio, and then towards the end, we collected the materials in waves, and then we kind of just put it all together a few weeks before the reveal. I want them to feel the love and intentionality that we put into the mural. I want it to awaken a curiosity about all of the people who we included in the mural, and to just get people to understand and to have more interest in Black history and in these contributing members.
As the City of Arts and Innovation, this was a really beautiful step towards including art pieces that are public and that are representative of everyone.
For the community, I hope that it shows that in being authentic and real and transparent and sharing our stories, great things can come out of it.
Welcome to In the Vault, a program of the Museum of Riverside. Today I'm going to share a little bit about the museum's herbarium, which is a collection of plant specimens, and a herbarium can be either dry or wet specimens, but mostly dry specimens, and that's what we have quite a bit of. It began with the early curator of botanic collections, Edmund Yeager, who started collecting specimens in the Riverside and San Bernardino area in the 1920s. Many of these specimens that he collected eventually wound up in our collection. But the real turning point was in 1949 when Charles and Wilhelmina Clark donated their collection, the Clark Herbarium, along with an endowment for the care of the collection and for botanical programs. And we've pulled out today just a couple of specimens, just a few specimens from the Clark Herbarium that are examples of Nevins barberry, which is an endangered species in our area. And you actually can acquire cultivated specimens of this plant from nurseries, but In the few areas where it grows naturally, it's under threat and has been added to the endangered species list. Now, this is how dried herbarium specimens are stored and collected. A herbarium specimen is of little use to us unless it comes with its collection data. So all this information is here, collected on a certain date in a certain location by a certain collector. And then the specimens are dried under certain conditions so that they don't attract mold, mildew, or other forces that can disintegrate them. Because they're dried, of course, they're very fragile, and we have to keep them in short stacks in carefully controlled environmental conditions. And you might wonder why we would have more than one example of the same species. And there's a reason for that, several reasons actually. First of all, comparing different examples of the same species can give information to researchers. And comparing specimens that have been collected over time can give researchers information about changing environmental conditions. And in the context of much research that's done today, for instance, climate change, we can learn much about how and where specimens were collected and what has happened to their morphology over time. It's also useful to have different specimen examples for genetic research, which is done today. Again, it was something that was, at the time these things were collected, no one even conceived of the kind of genetic research that would be done today. And now we have some of these specimens, which of course, because they're in essence insect food, we have to keep very close watch on them to make sure no infestations get into our storage vault here. These cabinets behind me are the cabinets where we store the herbarium specimens, and they have to be inspected often to make sure that we have no problems. To go back to the Clark Herbarium, that portion of the Museum of Riverside's herbarium comprises about 10,000 specimens. Additional collectors, other collectors, John C. Roos, for instance, actually this one was collected by John C. Roos, have added to the herbarium and make it a reference point with almost a century's trajectory that allows it to be a tremendous resource for researchers who are interested in Southern California, particularly the inland Southern California plant community. We have a new incoming lot of specimens coming into the herbarium soon. We do continue to actively collect, and again, for some of those scientific reasons that might not necessarily have been anticipated at the time that earlier examples of some of the species were collected. So for instance, a researcher has recently gone out to some of the areas in Central and Southern California that are fire damaged and collecting plant specimens that are coming back after those fires so that we can study the kind of plant communities that thrive in those post-fire environments. Again, we cannot possibly imagine what kind of research may be done in the future that would make these specimens of great use to a scientist. And I should add as well, as my background is the fine arts, that there's a resurgence of interest among artists in looking at these kinds of collections and just seeing the visual beauty of them and seeing how the visual impact of a specimen can be translated into an aesthetic experience and to help connect people with nature in a way that is very vital right now. So again, thank you for joining us for this segment of In the Vault, and we do encourage you, particularly if you're a researcher, to contact us and arrange to have access to the herbarium collection. Thank you. Welcome to In the Vault, a feature of the Museum of Riverside. Today we're going to be talking about something fun and games actually. The museum has quite a large collection of games dating back to the 19th century. A small selection of them will be featured in a new exhibition at Heritage House to open in early September of 2022. One of the games we're going to include is this one, which we discovered recently in our collection storage vault. We looked up its records, and the records weren't particularly illuminating as to what it was, and none of us recognized what it was. So while we did some research and pondered a bit, we still didn't turn up any information. But we were fortunate to have some good luck in the form of putting out some images and information about this piece to an international network of game collectors and game historians. Luckily, very quickly, we got an answer back from a collector in Germany who informed us that it's a whist counter. That's W-H-I-S.
It's the Tamale Festival. Yes, September 10th, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. at White Park in downtown Riverside. Come on down, check it out. It is going to be fantastic. There'll be music, and better yet, there'll be tamales. Are you a tamale guy, Gasol?
You know, I'm not averse to tamale. It's not. I'm more of an enchilada guy, but I like tamales. Yeah, time and place.
I love the masa. The masa.
Masa is the masa.
I love it. So make sure you visit RivTamaleFest.com, and that'll be September 10th, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Don't miss it. I love tamales, and I love Riverside.
28-0. It is Campbell Hall ahead of La Sierra. La Sierra will get the ball here in the second half. Dennis Keys, the ninth-year head coach of the Vikings. Last year led them to an undefeated regular season. They went 10-0. They lost in the first round of the Division VI playoffs to Santa Barbara. Had to go on the road. I thought probably Campbell Hall probably should have been D8. I probably would have done a little bit better. But, you know, Santa Barbara was going to be tough. They might have been able to make a run in Division VI had it not been for Santa Barbara. Their first playoff berth since 2010.
Really?
So, and they'll probably get back. And he's had a winning record. I mean, we mentioned 52-22, but in that dang Gold Coast League with Paraclete and with Sierra Canyon, that no longer the issue. So interested to see what Campbell Hall will be able to do going forth. They reached the Division 13 final back in 2005, losing to Rio Hondo Prep 10-7. That was again under coach Russ Gordon, who left for LaSalle in 2010.
I wouldn't know that Dennis Keys has been there 9 years. He's a young guy.
Yeah, played football at UCLA, a little cup of coffee with the Arizona Cardinals. Played in the UFL for Dennis Green, of all people. And here's Garcia on the opening kickoff. He's to midfield. And Gio Garcia will give good field position to La Sierra. You bet Sean Moore fired him up in the locker room.
And what a great run here. And good, like I said, good field position. See if La Sierra can get on the board. Get back in this thing here. Plenty of time.
You probably talked about Vikings, how Eagles need to soar above the Vikings. Great Viking movies. You know, you're going to go see Thor.
No, I'm not now.
Well, the family, I mean, the family.
Yeah,
La Familia, we'll go to see Thor.
Oh, look at that. Look at that drone coverage.
So the ball to the 45-yard line of Campbell Hall. Very good return by Gio Garcia. Let's see, can the Eagles, though, capitalize on the field position? What happened in the first quarter, you know, Coach Keys thought his team was flat, but they made a couple of plays. As a result, they were up 14-0. And then a couple of turnovers have led to 2 Campbell Hall touchdowns. Owens gets rid of it out of the backfield to Avellano. The sophomore gets past Mathuti, but he's cleaned up by Marmerstein inside the 40 to the 38-yard line. So about 7 yards on the play. Second down coming up.
Good start here for La Sierra.
Coach Moore really likes TJ Avellana. Ran for 125 yards last week versus Rancho Alamitos. Just a sophomore, still learning. Low center of gravity. He only stands about 5'5", so hard to get a beat on him when you're trying to hit him. Second and short. Owens to the outside. Lofts it down the field. He's got a man. Incomplete. Almost a great diving catch by Avellana. Playing the hot hand are the Eagles.
Yeah, great play. Got out of some trouble. Found his receiver down the field. Just didn't connect.
You know, Sean Moore was a wide receiver when he played. And one of the keys to a quarterback is you have to have that mental clock to know.
You do.
And, you know, where we've seen Ty Owens get in trouble is when he holds the ball too long. That's it. That's basic fundamental stuff. But he doesn't have the experience yet. He will. He'll get there. Third down. Stepping up, throwing down the field, intercepted. Redwood makes the interception, just stepped in front of Reyes, He's still going. Will be tackled at about the 35-yard line. And another turnover. Third turnover for La Sierra, and that's what's hurt him. The first two turnovers both resulted in touchdowns by the Eagles.
Exactly.
One directly. So you had a short field on one drive. You had a couple penalties on another drive, and then two turnovers, and those are the 4 touchdowns for the Vikings. Now, give credit to Campbell Hall. All the opportunities they've had, they've converted. The only one they didn't was that long punt return, but that was due to a penalty on them.
That's right.
So I'm impressed with Dennis Key's team. Looking to go 3-0 here. They have the ball at the 34, 1st and 10. Allen gives to Mathuti. He'll burrow for about 5. Coming over top and making the tackle, Emmanuel Quintero. Another young guy learning, figuring out his way on the defensive side for La Sierra. Mentioned earlier he has a nickname. They call him He-Man.
He-Man.
And I asked Sean Moore, why do you call him that? And Sean Moore said he's a force.
Dolph Lundgren, He-Man?
I'm thinking the cartoon version of He-Man. Yeah, Dolph Lundgren did play him, huh? Ivan Drago. 2nd and 5 coming up for Campbell Hall. Kai Scott to the bottom of your screen. 4 receivers in the formation on the 2nd down play. Allen gives to Mathuti right up the middle. Ruelas hits him, but he drives forward for a couple of more. Quintero there on the hit. Got some help as well from the sophomore Andrew Riles. So a 1st down, the sticks move up for Campbell Hall. Being very methodical.
Playing
smart.
smart.
Ulysses Melendez was trying to get in there too. Mendez.
You know, you have 20-plus guys. You've got to play smart. You have a nice 28-point lead. You know, run some clock. Keep guys uninjured. Run the ball.
From the 45 of Campbell Hall, the Vikings with it. Salenza, he's got 2 touchdowns already. They're going to give the ball to Mathuti up the middle, and he runs into a convoy of tacklers for La Sierra. A couple of guys got down low. Israel Morales was down, kind of mucking down low. Coming over the top to help him out was Ashton Ayala. See, Ayala gets in on the play. Clock continues to move. It's 2nd and 11, the loss on the play. Marmerstein to the bottom of your screen for Campbell Hall. Allen fires it. That's who he was going for, incomplete. Coming in on the coverage for La Sierra was Riles. Actually, that wasn't Riles. That was 31, not 30. We don't have 31 on our listed roster, so can't help you there, unfortunately. Incomplete pass brings up 3rd and 11 for Campbell Hall. They had to turn it over. They lost, Jeffrey, 65% of their rush yards last year, 93% of their receiving yards from last year.
Wow.
Doesn't look like they're any worse for the wear. Allen flings it complete to Redwood. Redwood with the dance at midfield. He's going to pick up some more yardage. He slips free, but 2nd level, he'll finally go down. Ricardo Reyes there with the tackle, also helping out TJ Reyes. So a 1st down and a player down on the field. It looks like it's an Eagle player. Weaving all the way to the 34-yard line was Rio Redwood. Looks like Gio Garcia. Remember, he tweaked the ankle a little bit earlier. Hopefully it's not that same ankle. Go. So we'll toss it out to some bonus coverage. As here's Vista Murrieta up to on 28-6 on Tesoro. Vista Murrieta, Jeff, they're in that new Big West conference.
Yeah, the Big West, the upper and lower, or however you want to call it. But, man, how cool is this? We've got some bonus coverage, and we have scores. It's Redlands is beating Citrus Hill 33-0 at halftime.
Wow, and we saw King really put it on Redlands.
Yeah, and Norte Vista is up 43-8 at half over Western Christian.
Wow.
So Ken Batdorf seems to have his running backs going on pretty good.
So the touchdown by Vista, it's 35-6 as we get back, and now we're back to action here. La Sierra and Campbell Hall. The Vikings up 28-0, and they're driving yet again. Another look at that catch and run. Rio Redwood, another young guy, just a sophomore, had 4 catches last week against Arletta. Also plays on defense, a two-way guy for them. Going to play big dividends for Dennis Keys and the Campbell Hall Vikings. 1st and 10 coming up. Allen gives to Dukes. Dukes into the middle of the defense for La Sierra. Goes down after a couple. Tackle on the play made by Ashton Ayala. So short gain, 2nd and 9 coming up. Week 2 here. Campbell Hall 2-0. La Sierra split their first 2 games. Tough loss here at home last week against Rancho Alamitos, and I think they really wanted to get up off the mat. Sean Moore talked about, we lost 10-7, but we wanted to correct some mistakes, and we thought we could upgrade it, and obviously the level of competition goes up with Campbell Hall, but they still felt very confident, Jeff. 2nd down coming up. Play action, here comes pressure. Allen just goes down all the way back to the 45-yard line. Riles bearing down on him along with Ashton Ayala. Another look at it. So here's Riles. Riles boxes the quarterback like you're supposed to, almost like in flag football.
Yes, he did. And we also have a Ramona score right now. It's 28-6 Ram High.
So that was a 6-0 game. Actually, Valley View was up on them in the first quarter, and Ram High has opened it up on the offensive side. Nice feature with Jennifer Mashinsky on the show, by the way, talking about Nate Johnson. Great job by you guys, by you and Pep.
Yeah, it was great to talk to her. She's a wonderful person, and what a great story. You get to coach your son and the best Ramona team we've had in years.
Allen flings it. It's complete. Marmerstein catches it at the 32, the original line of scrimmage. It's inside the original line of scrimmage, so it'll be 4th down. They're going to mark it at the 33-yard line, about a 12-yard pickup, so call it 4th and 9.
And we haven't seen, since the first quarter, where Campbell Hall has really gone to that one-on-one coverage. Let's see if they try this on a 4th and long here. As now Norte Vista leads 50-8.
So it's Powell, Prager, Redwood on the top of your screen. Marmerstein to the bottom of your screen as a receiver. Allen will throw it up for Marmerstein. Nearly bought it in over the shoulder, incomplete. Gio Garcia in on the coverage. Ball over on downs to La Sierra. So you like it. They're down big right now, but La Sierra still stepping up, still fighting, Jeff. You like to see that. Yeah. Let's go down to Nick Rice real quick.
Hey, Gazal, Gio Garcia that you mentioned, he has been dealing with that same right ankle injury throughout the game. He's extra taped up for stability now, but he's on a bit of a snap count as the medical staff is taking a close look at his status on that ankle. Back to you.
Hopefully Garcia feels better. The fling out to the outside, incomplete. Avelina Mothudi, who was just breathing down on him. I don't know if Avelina heard footsteps or not. Instead, that was Beltran. Sorry, number 6, not number 0. Well, then you and Gio Garcia have something in common. You're both tightly wrapped.
Yes.
2nd down and 10 coming up. 28-0 Campbell Hall.
I walk out of my house and tape my ankles, for God's sakes.
He did it for so many years.
I know.
Owens incomplete, looking for Soto over the middle. Salenza in on the coverage for Campbell Hall, third down. Now, an ankle injury ultimately ended your career, correct?
It did. And I just never, ever could get that thing right.
It's a combination of things. It's, that's what a coach told me that nobody, I haven't set up 7-footers for that many times. They're talking about Bill Walton. And he said, the problem is there aren't trainers out there that can train a 7-foot or a 6'8" or a 6'9" guy to where their feet, all the big guys, when they did have problems, their feet were the problem,
Yeah.
And a guy like Kareem played for as long as he did because he was doing various different things, right? He was doing yoga, he was doing martial arts, he was varying the.
He was fighting Bruce Lee, for gosh sake.
Yeah. I was thinking. So Kareem, I think, won Rookie of the Year in '70, MVP in '71. Or no, they won the championship in '71, MVP in '72, and then before the '73 season, he's off making movies with Bruce Lee.
It's the greatest. I remember as a kid, my dad was very close to Kareem, and I used to go to Kareem's basketball camp because my dad was the director of the camp, so I got to go for free. That was always my thing.
That's great.
But the bad thing is, since my dad was the director, Kareem would bring his son, and I wanted to play at camp, and he'd bring his son Amir, and I'd have to watch him. Or you have to carry, I have to walk around with this little kid all day. But it was, I'll be honest with you, being around Kareem and hearing the stories, growing up about how he kept himself, relatively injury free. Pretty amazing stories. All the things he did in the yoga, like you mentioned, everything.
Like before, everybody was doing. Like now, it's almost like you can't walk anywhere without seeing yoga pants. But this is back in the '70s.
Yeah.
Nobody was doing yoga, except the actual yogis. I guess the Beatles did yoga, right? We have to get Ramey down and talk to him about that. 3rd and 10 from the 33. Owens launches. Complete for a first down. And he's off to the races. T.J. Reyes, like DoorDash, he is to the house. Touchdown, La Sierra. Doesn't look like any laundry on the field. 67 yards from Owens to Reyes.
And Reyes, breakaway speed. What? Wow, that came out of nowhere. Great play. Great call there, Coach.
Reyes, kind of a bigger receiver, Jeff. He's like 6'3", 175. Almost looked like a hurdler when he got the football. Again, getting rid of it quickly into the soft part of the defense, and then it's just a foot race. And Reyes is an athlete at 6'3", 175. 67-yard strike, La Sierra on the board. Talking to Sean Moore, he says, TJ's a track kid. So that makes him dangerous on returns and dangerous in the open field. And there he goes for the touchdown. Reyes has already brought back a touchdown on a kickoff and on a punt. And now a 67-yard return there. All-league selection from last year averaged about 21 yards a catch. So 5 minutes to play in the third quarter. Finally, La Sierra on the board, and they'll call timeout. There's a little bit of confusion. I think it's whether to go for one or two, right?
I think they didn't have enough guys on the field. That was the big thing. I think it was, hey, let's call timeout, let's adjust, and let's try to score here instead of getting a penalty and moving back. So let's see if they're going to go for one or two.
Talked a lot about Sean Moore. I mentioned Dennis Keys. We talked about how he played. He played at UCLA. He was a Birmingham High kid. Another look at the touchdown there. Reyes. Once he knows where he's going, you're in trouble. And there's Mathuti trailing him, but not going to be enough. Touchdown at La Sierra. Played for Cardinal, was on that team. We talked about it with him on the field. He's got a couple of UCLA guys with him. Gerard Page now also on the coaching staff at Campbell Hall. So was in camp with Arizona, got cut, was signed to their practice squad, actually stayed through the season, and then they signed him for the next year. It didn't quite work out, but ended up playing in the UFL for Dennis Green, the Sacramento team, which is owned by Paul Pelosi. Leave your comments where he's happen to own the team. I'm not trying to make a statement either way on that. 2-point conversion attempt, Ty Owens in the middle, and Barrio there. They're familiar with each other, and that'll stop the 2-point attempt. It'll be just 28-6, and now La Sierra will kick it off. But Coach Key's coaching career started as an assistant at Chaminade for Ed Crossan, who just retired. He played for him at Birmingham, and that was the connection. And then off that, he got the job at Campbell Hall in his 9th year now, and they've had a great deal of success since he's been there. And I think now with the whole playoff situation sorted, Jeff, they're going to maybe usher in a new level of success. And, you look at, he told us, we have about probably suited up 30 guys.
Yeah.
And he made told a great story. It was one of the articles that I think was Tarek Fatal's piece on the playoff game last year in the LA Daily News, that they show up at Santa Barbara, and as they're walking on the field, they saw the Santa Barbara team setting up monitors, the offensive and defensive monitors. And Coach Key says, all that told me was they have 2 units. Because our guys had to play both ways. We don't need a monitor, because when we were on offense, our defensive guys are all out on the field. So I thought that was a nice little quip that he put. But you know what? We had a chance to talk with him before the game, and he just seems like a right-minded guy to lead that kind of a program.
He just seemed level-headed and didn't seem too up or down. He just seemed like the kind of guy you'd want to play for.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Short kick. They chip it to the 35-yard line and up to the 40, now burrowing forward to near midfield. That was Barrio up to the 48. He's getting a lot of TV time today.
Yeah, Barrio. He's the guy that manhandled the football and ran it back. Darn near got it again. He got some momentum going here.
Barrio made his bones last year as a defensive player, 3rd leading tackler on the team, 11.5 sacks, also recovered 3 fumbles. So he's a playmaker for them on defense. And we saw him today with the fumble recovery. He's playing some offensive line. He's even out there on special teams. Good field position coming up for the Vikings at 4:46 to play here in the 3rd quarter. They're up comfortably 28-6. Allen throws complete to Marmerstein. Breaks the first wave of tackles, and he'll be brought down around the ankles. Tackle on the play made by Matthew Cardenas for La Sierra. Cardenas, the junior, played guard last year, and they moved him to linebacker this year, and they've been impressed with how he's played on defense.
That's impressive, just moving from a guard to a linebacking spot. That shows
There's the tackle. I think he cramped a little bit there. He's still down with the heat and the dehydration. Got to be tough to play.
Wait, is it hot?
You've said it a few times, Jeffrey.
It's a little warm. I don't do well in heat. You and I were walking. I was angry. I wanted to punch things. I wanted to punch the air.
I believe it was Nelly that first said, "It's getting hot in here, so let's play some football." Correct?
That was the original version.
Not the remix that everybody's used to.
No.
28-6 here. It's Campbell Hall football. Mentioned that their 2 top players, as good as they are, starting quarterback Isaiah Sapan, he had 37 touchdown passes last year, threw for nearly 27 yards. He transferred to Westlake. And then Keon Salahi, who's their top wide receiver, 48 catches, over 1,000 yards, 13 touchdowns. He transferred to Notre Dame, but yet still here they are. That's another look at the play. Incredibly competitive. That's interesting. Marmerstein was the one who looked like he might be hurt, but it was the cramp for Cardenas, and he's up and off the field.
Remember they used to give you salt tablets?
I like Pep Fernandez thing, pickle juice.
Yeah, pickle
right?
juice.
You have those the bottles of pickle juice.
I have a friend of mine that literally loves drinking that stuff.
Well, they sell it now. You can go buy it now.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Have you ever had pickle juice?
It's funny. I'm a big pickle fan, but I do not like pickle juice.
Let's stop on the way to my house and get some pickle juice.
From the 40, 1st and 10. Allen, it's tipped, nearly intercepted. Getting 2 hands on it. Alexis Ruelas, the junior.
We're going to be doing this again tomorrow night. I am happy though that we're not doing it at noon.
I kind of like the turnaround. It's like baseball, right?
Yeah.
You play a day game after a night game. Love it. Love the challenge.
We're going to be at Ram Height as RCC is playing not 2 local teams, Mount San Jacinto. And
they were supposed to play last year, but COVID got that one. RCC, state runner-ups last year. This is Redwood in motion for Campbell Hall. Allen throwing it to the outside. Nearly picked. Intended receiver was Prager. Right there, though, was Gio Garcia in the vicinity. 3rd down coming up.
I tell you what, Rio Redwood was wide open. He just didn't see his progression there, but he was Wide open down the middle. Nobody around him.
Big difference last year for the La Sierra defense between non-league and league games.
Yes.
They ended up 2-7. They only played 9 games last year. Redwood in motion. Allen dumps off the screen. This is Mathuti, 35. Loses the football. Ball on the turf. La Sierra has it. First turnover on a flag comes in. Some extracurricular activity. So Mathuti had it knocked away from him, and the Eagles come up with it. Nice job setting up the screen. Little jump pass. Mathuti gets both feet down. And from behind, that was Quintero that knocked it loose. Quintero knocked it loose, and now La Sierra football. So now, can the Eagles do what Campbell Hall did so effectively in the first half? Campbell Hall capitalized on La Sierra mistakes. There's a mistake, the first mistake for Campbell Hall. Can La Sierra now flip the script and get the ball in the end zone?
Well, I'll tell you, they seem to have a lot more energy here in the second half.
I was just about to mention, Dennis Radgowski, the defensive coordinator, wasn't here last year. In 4 non-league games, the Eagles allowed 97 points. In 5 league games, Jeff, 261 points.
No.
And some of those games, as you know, was played with a running clock in the second half. So defensive improvement is going to be a key this year for La Sierra. It seems like personnel-wise, they have the personnel. They move some guys around. They have personnel in the right places. So a flag came in, but let's see what Dennis O'Connell has to say. Personal foul is going to be against La Sierra, and there's somebody's thrown out.
Wow.
So not sure who is disqualified. Maybe we can get Nick on that. So Coach Radgowski's got his arm around Gio Garcia, so we're going to process of elimination there, say maybe he was the player who was ejected as Avellino scrambles up to the 19-yard line with a 4-yard pickup on the play. 2nd down and 6 coming up. We're under 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. You hate to see that. It's kind of a well-played game. It was clean, and then some bad things happening.
Hopefully he can learn from those mistakes. He's going to have to probably sit out a game next week.
Conversation probably going something like, son, your heart's in the right place, but you got to be smart. How do you do? Barrio in the backfield again. Takes down Ty Owens. 3rd down coming up. Loss back to about the 11-yard line. Here comes the pressure, and, man, he just beat his man. So they'll mark it to 13. He had 11.5 sacks last year, did Barrio. Third down for the Eagles off the turnover. Valtierra split out to the bottom of your screen. Owens airmails it. Reyes going up. Incomplete. Man coverage. Rio Redwood and TJ Reyes, an incomplete 4th down.
You got to like the confidence, though. Perfect throw. Reyes just goes up. He's a very athletic kid. You can see. Nearly has it.
Jump ball, but Redwood right there to make the play, and the punt coming up for La Sierra.
He's like a large tree there.
So good job again by the defense of Campbell Hall. Forced 31 takeaways last year. They have 3 on the evening tonight. Obviously, their head coach, former defensive player, free safety at UCLA, a little bit in the NFL, knows a thing or two about taking the ball away. And Duke standing at the 40-yard line, he'll receive the punt. And he's been electrifying today. Great kickoff return from him as well as a punt return. Out of the end zone will be a safety. Discretion the better part of valor there for Valtierra. It's 2 points. You don't like to give that up, and now you get to kick it from the 20-yard line.
And you can, if you like, you can punt it.
Right. You can put it down on a tee or you can punt it.
After that, I think they're going to want to put it on the tee.
I mean, at that point, when that goes over your head, you just take the safety, right?
Yeah, that's just, yeah.
Because you don't want to get up 7. That's the whole thing.
Kick it out of bounds if you're the kicker.
Do you ever watch there's that out on Netflix, Last Chance U?
Yes.
And there's a great, I think it was season 3. They have there's a close game. I think they're up by 6. And they're in a situation like that. And the punter is the guy who tells the coach, if we take the safety here, we can move to the 20 and kick. And he thinks about it. He goes, yeah, do it. And they end up winning the game. And there was less than a minute to go. So, either, you punt it, and then the other team has no timeout. So,
I just got a text from Ken Batdorf during the game. During the game, by the way. He just told me that his field goal kicker hit a 38-yard field goal.
That's great. You love kickers.
That's why he texted me in the middle of the game. Come on, Ken Batdorf.
So here's the kickoff. Duke's approaching. He'll field the 43-yard line. DeAndre Dukes over midfield, gets to the outside. One man to beat. Can he beat him? And down he goes. Got past Valtierra, but he'll be down inside the 20-yard line.
There's a flag on a play. Let's see if it gets brought back. Flag thrown about the 43-yard line. And it's going to come back.
Second good return by Dukes, bought back by, there it is. There's the block in the back. That's unfortunate, too, because I don't think that really had any effect on the play.
It really didn't.
I don't think that gave him any, it's like in basketball. The official will wait to see if there's an advantage before they call the foul. And I think they should do that as well in football.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, obviously, we're the City Riverside broadcast team, but I mean, if you make a play, you make a play, right?
Exactly.
DeAndre Dukes has made several plays today for Campbell Hall. Young fella, just a sophomore.
Got to be angry, though. He made a couple plays. They go back. Doesn't help his stat sheet.
Well, he didn't have that 55-yard kickoff return. Prager to the top of the screen, split out. Marmarstein to the bottom of the screen for Campbell Hall, who lead this game 30-6. 28-0 at the half. 2:22 to play here in the third quarter. Gets it out quickly to Marmarstein. Nicholas Marmarstein into La Sierra territory, out of bounds. Nice catch, turns upfield. Nice move. Ruelas trying to get the strip sack there, and then he's bumped out of bounds at the 41 of La Sierra. And all goes back to Mingus Allen, the quarterback. He's just so cool, calm, and collected. You'd never guess the sophomore playing behind center for head coach Dennis Keys.
He's such a good player when he gets rid of it so fast. There you go, another.
I mean, his first name is Mingus. Is there any guess he'd be smooth?
It's Mingus.
Charles Mingus, the great jazz musician.
It is. I wonder if he's named after him.
Could be.
What else would you be naming a guy Mingus?
Fair. Great pianist. Well, he was a bassist. Played with Louis Armstrong and Lionel Hampton. Then obviously became a composer of his own. Came up, though. I mean, could you imagine coming up playing with Louis Armstrong and Lionel Hampton? How good that would make you as a bass player?
It would make you very cool.
That'd be like coming up playing basketball against, Magic Bird and Jordan, right?
Exactly. I always thought, like when I hurt myself once, I had a swollen mingus. I pulled my Mingus once, and I didn't know exactly where it was, but,
1st and 15. Allen airs it out. He's got a man down the field, complete to Prager. No, instead, that's Kai Scott still on his feet. Scott fighting down at the 1-yard line. Oh, my. 45-yard completion, and Kai Scott earned every one of those yards down at the end of that play. How about that?
Yeah, no offense, but you kind of wanted him to go all the way in. What a great play this is great.
Well, the concentration, he makes the catch here, and then
he's
looks
done.
like he's going down, but no, he's not going to stay down. Stays on his feet. 2 attempts finally. Jason Fisher finally drags him down officially at the 2-yard line.
What a great extended run there.
Under a minute to play in the third quarter. Campbell Hall comfortably in front 30-6. They run that play to the outside again. And touchdown Campbell Hall. Andrew Powell takes it in. They ran that play right to left with Redwood. They run it left to right with Redwood. They run it right to left with Powell and get into the end zone. So Powell with the touchdown makes it 36-6 at 48 seconds to play. Two-yard run here. That's Getz out front blocking along with Luke Fogel. Nice job from them. Two-point conversion attempt coming up. Some confusion there. Mingus dropped his foot and was waving for somebody to move in a false start. We'll move it back 5 yards. So you mentioned the kicker for Norte Vista. They don't kick. I don't think they've attempted a kick on a PAT yet, Campbell Hall.
They have the entire year?
They go for 2. Well, no, today. I mean, I haven't watched them the entire year.
I'm like, wow. That's the old Ken Batdorf ways. Remember, he didn't have a kicker. He just would.
Now, they do have Antonio Scorpo kicking off and punting, but they don't have any They don't have a place kicker for field goals or PATs.
Do you know that Don Markham, the late Don Markham, never had a punter or a kicker?
I remember you telling me those stories. Yeah. Well, that's analytics, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's crazy. Like, you talk about analytics in basketball and baseball, everybody gets all antsy.
Yeah.
But they love football analytics because football analytics said, go for it on 4th down, don't punt, and don't go for field goals. Yeah. Mingus lofts it into the end zone, and the 2-point conversion is good. Prager gathers it in 38-6 in favor of Campbell Hall.
Boy, when he does have time to stand back there, he is dynamite.
Came in completing 53% of his passes for 570 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. He's thrown already 3 touchdowns today. So the young fella kind of growing up. I think he threw 19 passes last year as a freshman and stepped into that role, and he's been big so far over the first 3 games. Campbell Hall, they'll play Pasadena Poly next week on the road. Francis Parker down in San Diego that next week. Francis Parker was a D4 team in San Diego last year. Pasadena Poly, they made the first round of the Division 12 playoffs here in the CIF. Here's the squib kick rolling up the middle of the field to the 28-yard line. And Reyes around the corner. He's got some room, and they'll bump him out at about the 40-yard line. That was the kicker making the play, Scorpo.
Boy, Reyes, when he gets going, he's fast.
Those track guys, once they turn upfield, they're moving pretty quickly.
I mean, he has breakaway speed there. I mean, he got around.
Finish off that Campbell Hall schedule. They'll play St. John's out of the San Fernando Valley. D5 team reached the second round last year. They'll play St. Anthony, who made the D10 final last year. And then finally, I mentioned the 4-team league. They'll get into league play Viewpoint, Brentwood, and Rio Hondo Prep. Of those 3 teams, Rio Hondo Prep was the only team that made the playoffs last year. D7, they won a game before bowing out in the second round. The Vikings went 10-0 in the regular season and then got a first-round matchup on the road at Santa Barbara and lost 36-20. Their first playoff berth since 2010.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, you go undefeated and you got to go up and play Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara's always good.
Well, plus you got to get up. You got to go up. Although it's not as bad going from Campbell Hall as it is from here, but still, that's a trip. That's a little bit of a trip on the high school football scale.
Yes, it is.
And now the ball will be moved back, so a penalty on the play. We'll move back to the La Sierra side of the field. 1st and 10 for La Sierra now from the 45. End of the third quarter. I still want to get into that side business we could run, coordinating quinceañeras, Jeff. I think it would be lucrative.
I have some DJ skills.
Avelina dancing to the outside. Barrio, wow, what a game he's had. And he's cramping up.
Get up, Barrio. You got to.
I mean, he's been everywhere.
All over the place.
Barrio, the senior defensive end, has just been all kinds of trouble today for La Sierra. Dynamic athlete. As we tick down to the end of the third quarter, and when we do, we'll go down to Nick Rice between the third and fourth quarters. 38-6, the Vikings of Campbell Hall have this one pretty well in control, Jeff.
They do. They've played well. They've played well in spurts, I should say. La Sierra, I think you got to give them credit. They've done well on defense. They haven't been able to stop the passing game, but I think the running game, La Sierra can show that they can play with those teams that like to run.
Wrapping up here the third quarter. Get a look at Ty Owens, putting the ball and getting intercepted there. You know, we mentioned, La Sierra, only 7 seniors on the team, and it's a learning process, growing pains. We were talking about growing pains earlier. And here's the throw. This is the big play for the touchdown to TJ Reyes from Ty Owens, and Reyes puts that track speed on, and he gone, as they say, 67 yards on the touchdown. But never panicking. I mean, Mingus Allen has been a maestro. Here's the defensive play here, knocking it away. Quintero causes the fumble, and yet La Sierra could not cash that one in. But here's the play by Kai Scott. What a play by him, setting up that last touchdown for Campbell Hall. We were going to go down to Nick Rice, but we got the highlights instead. Maybe on the first play here, we'll go down to Nick, and he can fill us in on some stuff. 38-6, the score is about to start the fourth quarter. Let's go down to Nick Rice, set it up for us. What do you got, Nick? All right, I guess not. From the 40, launching it down the field, intercepted. That's DeAndre Dukes with the pick. 4th turnover by La Sierra. And Dukes the 25. They want a helmet to helmet. They're tapping the helmet, and here comes the flag. So he stopped it inside the 25. They're going to tack on to that. But getting back to what we were talking about, Nick Rice had a talk with Dennis Keys and said that his team came out flat in the first half. And, obviously they had the lead, so you're not thinking about that. But maybe they did a little bit. But what they were able to do is 2 things we talked about in the first half. Another look at the pick. They made a couple plays. We talked about those 2 third downs, the one for the first down, one for the touchdown. And then they were able to capitalize on La Sierra mistakes. When La Sierra gave them extra plays with penalties, they put the ball into the end zone. And then when La Sierra turned the ball over, they put the ball into the end zone. That's why they were up 28-0 at the half.
Yes.
And they've continued it. And on the other side, La Sierra, they got the turnover. It was 28-6. They could have made it a closer game. They weren't able to convert the turnover into a touchdown, and that's a big play.
That is a big play. And I'm confused here of I think somebody got ejected, but this is going against Campbell Hall.
So it's a penalty. So they're going to wipe off the no, it's first down. Okay, that's what they're going to say. First down. So it looks like the penalty instead is going to go on Campbell Hall. It'll be first down Vikings from the 45-yard line. Jeff O'Connell, whoever's paying the officials, getting their money's worth tonight. They've called a lot of flags today, Jeff.
They have. I'll tell you what. They've worked on their fundamentals. We've seen every call in the book today. I am still confused to what the call was there. I saw the helmet to helmet, but
But you were thinking that would go against La Sierra. Instead it went against Campbell Hall. So it might have been a taunting deal. All right.
Back to football.
From the 45, it's a 1st and 10 for Campbell Hall. Allen still throwing. He's got a man open. Incomplete. Intended for Fogel. Luke Fogel in the pattern.
I like that play, though. There was a lot of misdirection. He was wide open. To that pass, one of the few passes he hasn't thrown well tonight.
Yeah. That out. They got a big lead, so they're gonna utilize this time. Remember, Allen, not a lot of experience yet. With the varsity, this is his third game as a starter. So, hey, get the live reps. Get the live action out of him. La Sierra playing at home. They're going to play for a little bit of pride. They're going to play hard. But now we're going to see some other guys in there. You can look at Wyatt Gray into the game. We saw Fogel earlier. Arnold Kim also out there on the field for Campbell Hall. Mathuti still in there. Haven't called his name much. Maybe back to the line of scrimmage. Third down coming up. Clock still moving. We talked about all the alums from Campbell Hall. I want to shout out a friend of mine who's a Campbell Hall alum as we get a look at Mathuti there. Kind of bumped into his own man when it went down. You know him from the basketball world. He also calls minor league baseball for the Lake Elsinore Storm. Jason Schwartz.
Yeah, he's probably the most famous Campbell Hall. He's my
Campbell
favorite.
Hall is a Campbell Hall guy.
He's my favorite Campbell Hall graduate.
I believe he played baseball there. Slinging it, it's complete. Ball caught by Julian Slange, and he's slung down. I don't know if he quite got the first down. I think he's going to be a little bit short, just outside of the 35.
You think he has the Schwartz?
May the Slange be with you. So fourth down coming up. Tackle on the play by Emmanuel Mayorga for La Sierra. So both coaches kind of getting some different guys in to get some looks. Sean Moore told us that, hey, we're still evaluating a lot of things. Here's the fourth down play. Allen complete for the first down. They went right back there. Slange with the catch and the tackle again made by Mayorga for La Sierra, but another first down for Campbell Hall. They'll keep it plugging. They lead at 38-6. Vikings marching. What's your favorite Vikings movie, Jeff? Throw over the middle, incomplete. Intended receiver for Campbell Hall was Luke Fogel. 2nd and 10 coming up.
No, I don't.
You ever watch Eric the Viking?
Eric the Viking's great. No, I don't know.
I mean, obviously, in recent years, the Thor movies.
The Thor movies, yeah. I mean,
I saw one. Man, I forget the name of it.
We're Vista Marietta putting the hammer to Tesoro.
Tesoro.
Yeah, this game within a game within a game. We had drone coverage tonight. We had it all.
Toss to Dukes. Flag comes in. Dukes upended at the marker, first down. Ulysses Mendez with the tackle.
I just showed our we have all kinds of new toys, and it looks good.
The Dukes a hazard. DeAndre Dukes meets Ulysses Mendez, Tales of Brave Ulysses, and they'll mark it off. This is marked off against Campbell Hall.
I like the TV the show called The Vikings. Have you seen that?
I've not.
History?
I've not yet.
That's
History
good.
Channel, yeah. There was they did a movie. It was basically based on Beowulf, but it was about Vikings. I forget the title of it. It's fairly recent. And I mentioned Eric the Viking kind of as a joke. I guess because the Thor thing is taken out all the Viking movies, right?
It has.
If you're trying to make a Viking movie, it's like, wow, it's Thor. But do you like the direction they're going with Thor in the Marvel Universe? It's a little jokey.
I'm disappointed with all the Marvel stuff. All of it right now.
2nd and 21. Allen slings it. Incomplete. Thought he had it, couldn't hold it. That was Wyatt Gray, the intended receiver, on the coverage for La Sierra, TJ Reyes.
Yeah, I tried to watch She-Hulk.
See, that they're going that direction too, right?
It's like comedy or something.
See, like because I was aged out of comics by the time Guardians of the Galaxy was big.
Yes.
So I never had any interest in that, and so they're taking it in that direction. And I'm a fan of the old school. Remember when we were kids? It was the Saturday morning cartoon. It was Iron Man, Thor, Submariner, and the Hulk,
Yes.
and you got one of those 4 adventures every Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah.
They don't have Saturday morning cartoons on ABC anymore.
Allen looking deep. He's got a man in and out of the hands of Gray. Reyes on the coverage. 4th down coming up.
That was a good pass.
I was a big fan of the Submariner. Love the Submariner for whatever reason.
He's a good one.
Because of the Seattle Mariners and the Submariners, and I thought there was some kind of connection.
Are you a Submariner guy or Aquaman?
See, I liked them both. Because Aquaman was DC, so it was a little different, right? So I guess, Submariner was kind of the Marvel version of the Aquaman. Yes. 4th down coming up here. 38-6, Campbell Hall leading. 9:14 to play in the 4th quarter. Interesting formation here in 4th quarter on the punt. And punted away. Reyes fields at the 6. And down he goes at about the 18. Tackle on the play, Andrew Powell. I think he decided to tell T.J. Reyes that he tackled him.
Hey, do you remember this show? Do you remember, speaking of superhero stuff, remember Shazam?
Very close. Yeah, I do remember. Captain Marvel, yes.
Captain Marvel was a great show. Except the guy Billy Batson lived with an old guy in a Winnebago.
Now, they had a live-action Shazam as well. You remember? When we were kids, yeah.
That was with Billy Batson. Remember?
That's right. Yeah,
that was the old guy. Remember, he was like drive this guy around in a Winnebago. And then this other, like, massive Shazam would come out.
I was too young to really care that. Like, it was just superhero on TV. It was cool. But when you get older, you're like, why did they pick that guy for a live-action one, right? Probably because the production value is easy. Avelena running over the 20, bounces it back inside, gets past Dukes, and then he'll get ridden down by Barrio up to the 38-yard line. So about an 18-yard pickup. And you can tell why Coach Sean Moore thinks so highly of T.J. Avelena. Had 85 yards in the opening week, ran for over 100 last week, and still learning, just a sophomore.
Now, it almost sounds like Javelina, like a wild boar. Isn't that what Javelina is?
Avelina with an A.
I know, but what is is it a Javelina, though, when it's a boar?
I don't know. That's a good question.
It's a fierce little creature. He's a fierce little creature.
Fierce Creatures, another John Cleese film. Kind of an unofficial sequel to A Fish Called Wanda, which is one of my favorites, with Kevin Kline, Jamie Lee Curtis, among others. 1st and 10 from the 38 for La Sierra. They trail 38-6. Here's the give again. Runs into his own man, and Barrio's there. It's tough enough to get by Barrio when you don't run into your own blocker. But I give Avelina an A for effort on that one. 2nd down coming up. He shows no fear.
Because he's like a Javelina. He's like a little wild boar.
It's like when Vin Scully called right fielder for the Dodgers. Why is his name escaping me? The Wild Horse.
Who was the Wild Horse? Yasiel Puig?
Doyers.
He's still playing somewhere. He's playing like in North Korea.
Come on.
South Korea. He's in South Korea, I think, playing.
He had a nice tribute for Vin when Vin passed.
He did, but I think he's playing in like South Korea.
2nd down. Here's the give, and down at the 36-yard line, ball carried by Noah Gomez for La Sierra. So maybe a yard. They'll muck up to the 36-yard line. Yasiel Puig, that's right, Wild Horse. Why did I not remember that?
I don't know. I was thinking right fielder, and I was thinking of like, what was Pete Marshall's son? Remember that guy? What was his name? Marshall?
Pete, you're going to get me in trouble now.
Remember Pete Marshall?
I do. His son played for the Royals back in the day.
He was a Dodger too, though. Remember?
Oh, he was a Dodger? Okay.
Played right field.
Under 7 minutes to go here in the 4th quarter. Ghazal Hassan, Jeff Gorham with you. 3rd down coming up for La Sierra. We've seen a good display today by the Vikings of Campbell Hall. They've been very impressive. coming off an undefeated regular season last year where they went 10-0. That didn't look fun. So Vincent Esquivel in for La Sierra. Down he goes, bringing up a 4th down. And punt team will head out there for La Sierra.
Was that Barrio again?
Yep.
It was.
Now, I know you're asking is, how come these guys are still in the game for Campbell? Well,
Because they only have 9.
Right.
They only have 15 guys.
Yeah, I think they bought 37 people. I think 34 were players, but I think 3 of them or 4 of them were just freshmen they wanted to bring on the road just to kind of show what was going on. Because I guess they canceled a bunch of games. I know in the Valley, they canceled a bunch of games, like Burbank Unified School District, because of the heat. They canceled a bunch of games. They moved some times around for games. So perhaps the freshmen didn't play, so you might as well bring them to the game.
Yeah. Well, I remember I have a funny Don Markham story. He was coach at Ramona, and they were great. We had the year before he got there, we had like 80 to 100 guys in the program.
Mm-hmm.
Then when he came in, he cut the team down to like 17 guys. And then he would beat teams mercifully as bad as he could. And he'd go, hey, I only have 17 guys. I got to play my guys the entire time.
Dukes lets it go. It'll still be really good field position. So the 49-yard line of Campbell Hall. So a 24-yard kick, no return. And the Vikings will tee it up with 5 minutes and 12 seconds to play in this one.
And Markham would always say, I talked to him after he retired. I said, why did you only have like 15, 16 guys on the team? He said, because I wanted to get out of there. If I had got my best players, they played both ways. And I wanted to be home because he owned a gym. I don't know if you knew this. He owned a gym, and he wanted to get over there to count the money to close the gym up there in San Bernardino. But he would, and then teams would go, why are you killing us? I only have 15 guys. What am I supposed to do?
The best answer was always Jimmy Johnson. He said, hey, I'm only paid to coach one team.
That's it.
If you want me to coach them both, I will. But until you pay me to coach both teams, I'm coaching my team.
I called a game. I told you this, one of the first games I ever called in my life. I was younger, much younger, and I called a Harupa Valley Bloomington game. The score was 108-20.
Jeff, we were so much older then. We're younger than that now. Gets lit up by Quintero. Second down coming up. We talked about the playoff situation with Campbell Hall. How about La Sierra? They've not made the playoffs, Jeff, since 2014. That was back when they were playing Rony Bowl.
Yeah, and they finished second a few years ago and didn't make the playoffs.
They finished first. 5-way tie for first place, remember?
They were Harupa Valley got second. They were in first.
They were in first. They were in first.
But they didn't make the playoffs.
They did not make the playoffs that year. Yeah, Gary Hedlund was here. He had 1 year where I think they were 5-5.
Yeah.
But they didn't quite qualify. The River Valley League's going to be tough.
Now Gary Hedlund's over at Citrus Valley. I think Indian Springs with our guy Chris Chaddick.
Another player down. Could just look cramped situation from what it looks like.
Well, you know what that means? We got to talk a little bit about the tamales because the Tamale Fest is coming, and it will be on September 10th from 11 to 7 p.m. Make sure you go to RiversideTamaleFest.com. RivTamaleFest.com. I don't have my glasses on, but I can tell you right now, it's from 11 to 7 at White Park, downtown Riverside. There will be music, fun, and frivolity, my friends. Music, fun, and frivolity. Go to the Tamale Festival. If you see me there, buy me a tamale. I love tamales, and I also love lovely beverages. So if you see me there and you see me dancing around, buy me a tamale.
So players still down for Campbell Hall. 4:56 to play, 38-6. Campbell Hall is very much in control. They led 28-0 at the half. Came out and capitalized on some errors by La Sierra. We mentioned last time La Sierra made the playoffs, 2014. That's his goal. Talking to Sean Moore, he said, hey, listen, we saw what Arlington did last year. That kind of serves as inspiration. And we want to kind of build it and get there. We want to make the playoffs as soon as possible to get these players some playoff experience. And interesting conversation with him. We mentioned that he'd applied for the job twice. And he said, when he asked around, because I don't know if you told me this or somebody, with Hillcrest coming in a few years ago, the talent is being pulled from La Sierra. It's kind of being split to two schools.
Yes.
Well, Coach Moore said, I don't think the issue is with talent. He said, this may be the most talented team I've ever coached, he said. And he said the word that got around was that, La Sierra, they're talented kids, but the discipline and walking off the field for Campbell Hall, Jeremiah Gell, it's G-E-L-L, so Gell or Gell, and good to see him going off under his own power. It looked like it was just a cramp.
Because it is 900 degrees.
They're playing 8 guys on both sides of the football, 8 out of 11, so. Here's Allen. This is Getz pounding. Getz with maybe a yard on the play, maybe 2. Just keep the clock moving. That's his job. But, Sean Moore said the talent was there. What he was told was, you need to install some discipline over there, and that's what they've done. They have study hall every Tuesday night. He mentioned to us they had a couple of 6 a.m. practices during the week. I mean, this week it was to beat the heat, but just kind of to get guys around. And, he wants his players to be all-around guys. He wants them to be good in the classroom, good on the practice field, and kind of build that culture at La Sierra.
And it is evident. I mean, there's evidence in numbers, and there's so many players now for La Sierra. They have all 3 programs, so they are headed in the right direction.
In at quarterback now is Ben Stoll for Campbell Hall, getting an opportunity. Mingus Allen obviously acquitted himself extremely well, the young sophomore quarterback. I mean, if he keeps playing like that, when they're playing bigger competition, I mean, he'll have obviously recruiting opportunities starting right away, ASAP. Mathuti started getting offers last year as a sophomore. He's a junior this year. The same will happen with Mingus Allen, who I've been incredibly impressed with.
And we are going to follow his career for the next couple of years. And we'll see him playing on Saturdays. And we'll say we knew the Mingus.
We'll go unearth this YouTube clip of all the ridiculous things you and I said. But no, I mean, you've watched a lot of quarterbacks. Did that look like a sophomore who hadn't had a varsity game before this year?
No, it does not. He's a tall, tough kid. There's Mingus throwing.
Stahl throws it up, nearly completed. And a flag comes in. The defensive play on the La Sierra side made by Ricardo Reyes.
That will be a PI. I mean, he hit him before he actually caught the football. And it was a duck. I mean, he got the ball hit out of his hands. And there's the hit right before the catch.
So Ben Stoll in at quarterback now for Campbell Hall. Third down coming up. So tomorrow we're back, 6 o'clock, RCC against Mount San Jacinto. Jeff and I on the call.
We will be at Ram High.
We'll have the blue shirts on tomorrow.
Tomorrow we'll have blue shirts. I think I've never been so, it's going to be really hot. Be prepared.
I told you, I'm going to bring 2 frozen. I'm going to bring these frozen like bricks. I'm going to put them in your freezer overnight, and then when I leave for the thing, hopefully by the time 6 o'clock rolls around, they'll be melted and still cold. So third down, and what do they need to get? About 5 after the penalty. Not an automatic first down. I'm used to it being an automatic first down, but in high school, obviously it is not. Stoll with the give. Carrying the ball for Campbell Hall, Gavin Robinson over the left side. Bends inside the 40-yard line. Just the key here is to keep the clock moving.
Keep the clock moving. Don't get hurt. And as soon as the game is over, start drinking waters.
I'll tell you what, tip your cap to Dennis Keys and the Vikings at Campbell Hall. They came out and did what they needed to do, and no excuses, right? I mean, 32 guys playing both ways, hot day. They just handled their business, Jeff.
Handled their business, and you came out to Riverside. And I'll tell you what, the La Sierra, though, is much improved team than we've seen in the past couple of years from them. Yeah, looking forward to the future, especially with that quarterback. They're going to be pretty darn good come River Valley League here.
Stoll with the give. Ryle with the tackle. He brings down Gavin Robinson. And again, 4th down coming up. Clock will move. Actually, no, they stopped the clock. So timeout on the play. Oh, sorry, turnover. Ball goes over, so change of possession. They'll stop the clock on the 4th down play. 2:19 to play. La Sierra football at the 39-yard line. So coming up, we mentioned the schedule for Campbell Hall for La Sierra. Alta Loma at home on Thursday. They go to Bolsa Grande before starting the River Valley League schedule. Norte Vista on the 30th of September. They're at Ramona on October 6th, at Hillcrest, home to Patriot, and they wrap up at Arlington. 1st and 10 from the 39. Esquivel back in at quarterback for La Sierra, hands the ball off to Gomez, who's thrown down.
Hey, Gomez, did you notice that there's a new Addams Family coming out?
With my favorite actor of all time, Luis Guzman.
I saw that.
Playing Gomez Addams, yeah.
You see who's playing his wife? Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Catherine Zeta-Jones. I always have to say her name in Sean Connery's voice. Entrapment. That was the movie. Entrapment.
Yes.
When she has to go through that laser maze.
Oh, yeah.
They have that in all the amusement parks now. So you can take the little Lukester and Fast Johnny and have them go through the maze. A little different than Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yes. I'll put Carla in a cat suit.
2nd and 9 coming up. Esquivel to throw. Steps up into the pocket. He's got pressure over the middle. It's complete. Making the reception for La Sierra, Nick Soto, into Campbell Hall territory. Tackle on the play made by Getz. Jack Getz with the tackle for Campbell Hall. Ball spotted at the 43-yard line. So Vincent Esquivel in relief of Ty Owens. Sean Moore continuing to evaluate his Eagles. High hopes coming in, but I mentioned the growing pains evident to a young team. Esquivel steps up. Trying to stay afoot, and he gets flung down. First man in was Nico Joel. And then Hudson Barber took him down as we're under a minute to play in the fourth quarter. Looks like Campbell Hall will come away with a hard-fought 38-6 win. Really took control of the game in the first half, and we've said it numerous times. They converted opportunities, right? Two big third-down conversions, and then they capitalized on La Sierra errors. Esquivel throws a pretty good ball, incomplete. Intended for Soto. Julian Schlangen on the coverage there for Campbell Hall, and will bring up 3rd down. We have any other River Valley League scores? We have Norte Vista win that?
They won that. They won their game. I didn't get a final. I believe Ramona has won. So the River Valley League
can be tough.
It could be a good one this year.
Will not be an easy out in the league, Jeff.
No.
Arlington's going to be tough. We already know Novi's always going to be tough. Ramona, Hillcrest, pretty good. Patriot's been very good this year.
Patriot. They have a lot of numbers in that program, and they're getting a lot better. That is the word, is they have a shot to make the playoffs.
It's barely missed last year. But Arlington ended up rolling to a CIF championship. 3rd and 8 from the 40 of Campbell Hall. Will this be the last play? Complete to Reyes. And Reyes will try to stay up. He'll be taken down. They'll just blow the whistle. So the first down stops the clock. Esquivel just 2 steps and gets rid of it. Nice catch by Reyes. The next snap will be the last one. And Sean Moore, he's not fooling around. He's going to call timeout. They're going to set up a play. The new head coach, first-year head coach at La Sierra, played at Kaiser, then played at Dakota State, Arizona Baptist, had a cup of coffee in 2010 with the cup of coffee and a Danish with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
And a Danish.
In training camp in 2010 under Raheem Morris. Got into coaching. Actually, he got his start setting up 7-on-7 leagues. Back, that was 10, 12 years ago before they were a big thing. And then got into high school coaching, was the coach for a couple of years at A.B. Miller, and then was the coach for a year at Excelsior Charter. But he feels very much at home here at La Sierra.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's got guys out here, and he is eager, young, and focused. And I like that, and his team has improved so much.
So one final play. They're resetting the clock to give him 3. I think it was 2.8. And now it's 2.8 seconds. There we go. Final play of the game. Esquivel to throw. That's the final horn, and Campbell Hall with the win, 38-6. So 38-6 the final. We're waiting on Nick Rice. He'll have Dennis Keys, the head coach of Campbell Hall, after the win. Give me your thoughts, Jeff Gorham, on this one. Really the dominating first half by Campbell Hall, 28-0.
I'll tell you what, they came out and did what they were supposed to do. They converted on 2 big third downs, converted on the turnovers that La Sierra gave them, and they just showed how they were, how they've been successful. They won 10 games last year, and they're continuing to win this year with a new staff or new players. So very, very good game from them.
Yeah, great continuity on Campbell Hall, and I think both Sean Moore and Dennis Keys, when they look at the film, they'll probably point out some of the flags. Now, I think some of those flags may be a little overzealous, but overall, I think both teams would like to clean up the penalties, particularly, La Sierra, it cost them a couple times. They were still kind of in the game, and they handed a couple of opportunities to Campbell Hall. You give the Vikings credit, the Vikings cashed them in, but the young team needs to learn from that.
Yeah, and watching this game, you're going to learn very quickly that you could, instead of being 38-6, it could have been a lot closer. And those guys will learn because he's going to show them the right ways to do things, and they're going to get better every week.
If you want to take something positive away from La Sierra, what you liked is even in the fourth quarter, when the starters were out and the new guys were in, they were fighting. They were playing at the end. They did not, at any point, ever kind of just drop their hands and say, woe is me. They understood, hey, there's business to be conducted. Hey, we're not playing very well right now. We're behind. But that didn't mean they stopped. They kept churning till the end.
And they played hard the entire time. And that's a key to showing that they want to get better. And Coach talked about it. He said, hey, we have 30-plus guys. They have 20-plus guys or 40-plus. Sometimes you just have to – you got to realize that you played a team that has won a lot, and they're very close-knit. They only have, 20-plus guys. But those other 20 that La Sierra has are going to get better. So the closeness between these two teams will definitely change as the year goes on.
Let's go down to the field. Nick Rice has Dennis Keys, the head coach of Campbell Hall, talking about the win today, 38-6 over La Sierra.
All right, I'm joined by head coach Dennis Keys. You brought up to me at the half about some of the fundamentals that you wanted to work on in the second half. How'd you feel overall about the execution of your team?
I think we need to get back to the drawing board. There's some things that we got to clean up. You're obviously happy you got the win and you come, get out of here kind of, healthy as well. But we got to clean some things up still, try to figure out the run game. A lot of missed opportunities in the pass game with drops, so we got to get those sharpened up as we move through the season.
Yeah, if you want to win big in the regular season and the playoffs, you're going to need to win on the road. Yeah. Another long road trip for you guys, but you got it done today.
Absolutely, and this is the start. We got 3 consecutive road games. We go all the way out here. Then we have travel to Pasadena, San Diego, too. So we'll get our miles in and hopefully get prepared, for road trips in the postseason.
Coach, thank you very much. You. Congrats on the win. 3-0 for Campbell Hall, and their hopes is another playoff trip, the same they did last year for the first time in over a decade. Guys, back to you.
Nick Rice, thank you very much. Jeff Gorham, I wish he'd asked him about Mingus Allen. I wish he'd asked him about his quarterback, but that's what I would have asked at first. But, what we expected, right? They're going to look at the penalties. They're going to want to clean up the penalties. And I didn't realize that. That is interesting. They had to go to Santa Barbara to play the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
Scheduled a Riverside trip, a Pasadena trip, and a San Diego trip. That's the whole thing. Is these coaches are always thinking.
They're always thinking, hey, we got to do whatever we messed up last year, let's fix it this year.
So we're back tomorrow for the RCC and Mount San Jacinto as we're looking at the highlights from this one. That was the first touchdown for Campbell Hall. I know there's a promotion with fan voting for a game. What do they got, Jeff?
Next week we're going to be voting to see who's going to be the game on the 16th. And the two teams that we are going to talk about is Norte Vista versus Linfield Christian, or will it be King versus Murrieta Valley? The viewers will vote starting Monday. on the city's Instagram page. We will have the results, and the 16th we will have a flex game between either Norte Vista Linfield Christian or King Marietta Valley.
All right, well, 38-6 the final here. What a game for that young man, Peter Barrio, all over the field on the defensive side for Campbell Hall. And there's the one big play from T.J. Reyes. Ty Owens hits Reyes in stride for a 67-yard touchdown. That was really the lone glory of the day for the Eagles of La Sierra. But again, we talk about it's a process, and they're building a program here. They're trying to kind of build a bit of a culture at La Sierra as well, and there are going to be some growing pains. And I think today says less about the Eagles than does about Campbell Hall. They just ran into a better team today, Jeff.
They did, and you always learn from playing better opponents, and that's the only way you can get better. You don't play inferior teams; you play teams that can beat you, so that you can improve.
Gorham and Nick Rice and our entire award-winning Riverside TV crew. My name is Gonzalo Hassan. The final score tonight, 38-6. Campbell Hall over La Sierra. We'll talk to you next time. So long, everybody.